routine. After taking last week off to watch some WrestleMania at the Casa, we're back. Although, as you can tell from my more attractive than normal co-host to my left, St. Paul is not here yet, so Susan's going to stick around for what we in the radio business call crosstalk. What's up, Susan?
Oh, not a whole lot.
How was the show?
I liked it. I thought it was
go
pretty
well?
interesting. Yeah.
Go well? All right. I'm looking for a, you did a post on your page that spurred me on to something that's going to be on our fourth hour, and now I cannot find it, and I'm really disappointed that that's going to be one of my fourth hour topics tonight. So I have to find it, and then I have to find it just to show you what it is. So we'll keep digging around your Facebook page till I find it. So
I am sort of incredibly brilliant on my Facebook. Yes.
Yeah, I got a question for you.
What?
You said you were saying at the end of your show, you were talking about how TSA hasn't caught they haven't caught any terrorists or suspected terrorists. They haven't foiled one attempt. Is it possible that they haven't foiled an attempt because their job's actually working, that the business model, the plan of the TSA is actually doing what it's designed to do, which is deter?
So
I'm just playing devil's advocate. Frankly, I think they're frankly a bunch of idiots.
So we have to practically strip, stand in a machine so you can look at it's naked to prove we're not terrorists, just to deter the bad guys from coming through to do it. I'd rather they just catch the damn things.
Well, but let me ask a question though. Are you completely opposed to the idea of? Okay, for example, I know that some people are upset about the whole the body scan and X-ray technology. Oh my God, you can see boobies. Are you one of those
Not
people
just
that's?
boobies.
But are you one of those people that's really that offended by that? That you're going to walk through some X-ray and there's going to be some trained TSA agents or whatever they are looking at video screens and they can see your private parts? Is that really that much of an issue for you?
Yeah.
Why? I mean, honestly, why?
My question would be, why not?
No, but my question is why?
Why wouldn't it bother you?
What, dude? And I'm not trying to be insensitive or anything. I want to understand, why does that bother you that some agent, some officer of the law, which is what TSA is, right or wrong, and they're not the most well trained of individuals. I'll give you that. But at what point did we get so uptight in our PC police that officers of the law, we would rather take the risk of Mahmoud with a bomb strapped to his chest, getting onto a 747 and killing 300 people, than we would allow somebody to take a picture of us walking through an X-ray-like device, making sure we don't have liquid nitrogen strapped to our chest.
Okay. It's not a matter of political correctness.
Okay.
It's a matter of personal dignity. I'm a good person. I've done nothing wrong. I see no reason why, just because I want to fly from here to here, you have the right to strip me of all personal dignity that I have. And I've done nothing wrong. I don't think that's right.
Okay. And okay, that's fine. That's fine. But let me ask you a question. How does that strip you of your personal dignity?
Because
meaning, when you go to the doctor and you get ladies, you're going to hate me. When you go to the doctor and get a pap smear, when a doctor does his due diligence to make sure that you're safe and healthy and all that, do you feel like you're giving up your personal dignity, or do you feel like it's something necessary to ensure that you are safe and healthy for the next however many months until you come in for your next?
I've never met a woman in my life who didn't feel like she was giving up some of her personal dignity for that. Yes. And we pay for the privilege.
And you pay for the privilege.
Through the nose,
but
no
you
less.
Deem that as a necessary evil as part of
This
protecting you and making you healthy,
we
right?
Want to be healthy.
Right.
Okay.
So how is that different? And again, I'm not a woman, so it's really hard for me to. I'm not even going to pretend that we're on the same wavelength, the same page. I'm not that stupid.
We're not. We are so not. No.
But let me ask a question though.
Yeah.
How is that, from a schematic sense of accepting there are certain things that you will compromise on to ensure your safety? Mm-hmm. How is it any different to know I'm going to walk through this
because
X-ray
I know this
machine.
man has spent 12 years on average to get to the point of being able to tell that I'm healthy through what he is doing, he or she.
Okay.
And not, somebody that just applied for an ad in the paper.
Okay.
And as far as I'm concerned, if you want to see my privates, either we're married or I'm paying you and you're my doctor. Period.
Okay.
And I think that's the way it ought to be.
I think we're so uptight about the idea of people seeing our private parts.
It's not a matter of being uptight. It's a matter of having personal dignity.
Yeah, but I don't think that there's a couple TSA officers in a back room somewhere at the airport with the video monitors up on a big screen, on a 32-inch big screen, and they're waiting for a girl to walk through so they can be like, "Oh, dude, look at those jugs," or "Oh my God, look at her." You know, they're not doing that.
You don't think so?
No, I don't. I don't think so. I listen. And you can ask Paul when he gets in here, because I think that Paul will be a good justifier of this. But Paul used to, as he said on the show before, he used to own and work in a strip club.
Yes, he did.
I think at some point it becomes old hat. At some point it becomes passé. At some point it becomes, really? Okay, there's a girl. Cool. I can see the outline of her breasts. I can see the outline of her ass or her private part between her legs. I can see the outlines. You're not getting digital quality. You're not. It's not like porn.
I worked 18 months on labor and delivery. Mm-hmm. I have seen a lot of bottoms.
Sure.
A lot of bottoms. And after a while, it's you really don't think anything about it. A lot of women come in and they're real nervous about it and they're real embarrassed on it.
Sure.
And the people that work there, it really doesn't mean anything. It's, we're there for a job. It's a medical thing. But that's the thing. It's a medical thing. It's a medical thing.
Okay.
And that is a difference.
But okay. But so in your mind, it's different because it's a medical thing. Why would it not be different because it's a safety thing? Do you want to again?
Because in my mind, it's a cooked up safety thing. It's not even legitimate.
But again, we haven't had a terrorist hit an airplane on American soil since 9/11. And the only reason why it hit on 9/11 was not because TSA failed, was because the rules allowed the people on 9/11 to take those box cutters and things on the flight because they weren't against the rules. So every rule we've ever had that TSA was told to follow, and every screening process we've ever had has actually worked.
You can take a knife again.
You can take a knife again, which doesn't make any sense to me. So we're now going to allow knives on there again, which I don't know if I get that.
I don't understand that because they say as long as it's 2 3/4 inch or shorter, I believe it is, the blade. That's about like that. Now, if you
better hold that up higher so the listeners can,
like that.
Viewers can see you. Yeah.
How far into your neck?
Well,
do you think?
Listen, I don't think we'll ever. I won't say never. I don't think in the next 20 to 30 years, anyone will ever be able to hijack a plane by taking somebody else hostage with a knife. Okay, the only reason why 9/11 worked is they'd never pulled it off before, and the theory was, well, okay, we now have hostages. Give us access to the cockpit. Well, then they had to do it because you've got hostages. Nobody even fathomed the idea that they were going to fly the planes in the side of the building and kill everybody on the plane. Nobody even, that was the furthest thing from their mind. They thought, okay, they're going to hijack the plane. They're going to demand a ransom, or they're going to demand that they let go of our brothers and sisters that are in jail in Israel or something. No, they're never going to be able to pull that off again. So
I know what you mean.
If Ahmed decides he wants to take hostages on an airplane again, he'll never get access to the cockpit. In the next 30, now maybe in 50 years, our kids' will be stupid and forget 9/11. What happened? That's likely to be honest with you.
That would be our
fault. No, it won't be our fault. It'll be their fault for not heeding the lessons of history. But until then, I don't think it'll happen. But I still. And again, Paul would accuse me of being the liberal, and this is what the liberals do. And maybe it is. Maybe that's what it is. But it is. He says as he pokes his head in the studio. But I almost believe that, to me, it's a fair trade-off. If the question for me is, in fact, St. Paul, if you're listening, pay attention. I want to get your thoughts. Are you listening? Are you listening? Okay, good. If the question for me is, I'm going to give up a small amount of my privacy, tiny amount of my privacy, to fly out of an airport. And the amount of privacy I'm giving up is I'm going to walk through a TSA checkpoint with an X-ray scanner, and they're going to see the outline of my genitalia. Okay, that's really what it is. Again, we're not talking hardcore porn. We're not talking about shots of my twig and berries. Okay, we're not talking about stuff that they can print
Not
out.
terribly detailed.
Yeah, it's not detailed. It's not stuff they can print out and take home. It's the outlines of things. If we are so uptight as a nation about the outline of our private parts that we're willing to say, "Oh my God, we can't have that at the airport," we probably deserve what Ahmed is going to do to us.
Where does it stop?
Well, again, it stops where there's common sense. I hate people that say, "Well, when does it stop?" It's like the people that say, "Oh my God, we've allowed gay marriage. Now people are going to want to marry their pets." That's just stupid. Where does it stop? There's common sense.
That's just a problem. There isn't common sense anymore.
You have common sense.
I like to think so.
Right, you have common sense. And at some point as a nation, we rise up against the things that don't make sense.
As a group, we seem to be lacking common sense more than we used to, and it worries me.
But you don't think the outline of your and let's be honest, outlines, I would assume the private area between a woman's legs isn't even going to show up.
I have no idea how.
So I would think it's just going to show the curvature of your breasts. That's what I would think that these TSA things are going to show, is the curvature of a woman's body.
Mm-hmm. Or a man's.
Or a man's body, yeah. Well, I'm talking about you because you're the one who's opposed to it.
The idea.
I was at the bar this weekend, and let me tell you. Let me tell you.
I wanted to find out what that post meant.
Let me tell you. And as I posted on my Facebook page on Friday night, to the otherwise beautiful women in the world, either your mama didn't teach you how to dress or your daddy didn't teach you to have self-respect.
I wanted to ask you what you meant by that.
There were two girls in the bar as I was DJing up at the clubhouse in Bremerton on National Avenue on Friday night. Come on down and see me. It's the best karaoke in the world. And she was, a reasonably attractive girl. She really was. A little early 20s. Not in my age group to date or whatever, but an attractive girl, right? Mm-hmm. But she decided that she wanted to wear a wife beater, for one, and a wife beater that was way too tight for what were probably double Ds. And which is fine. Dress how you want to, but know that when you go into the bar and you're dressed like a skank, guys are going to look at you and think, "Holy crap, there's a skank." And it is what it is. I just thought that women would. My daughter will be taught to carry herself with a little bit of class and self-respect.
I would hope so.
Don't go out with the twins on full display if you don't want guys to use you like the twins are on full display. But anyway,
I just got a mental image of you with your daughter when she gets to be a teenager, taking one look at her and just having absolute apoplexy.
Yeah.
I can just
go back
see
in your room and put on some real clothes, honey. You're not going out like that. But Dad, no, don't butt me. Nope, sorry.
Good for you.
No, don't butt me. Don't, no.
I will be so proud of you.
I will be so proud of you. It's the way it is now.
Well, you saw that post I put.
She's 10. It's the way it is now. I don't think those clothes are appropriate on you, Madison. Go put on some clothes.
You saw that post I put out of the very heavyweight woman that was wearing basically fishnet.
Oh, yeah.
A fishnet. Period.
Listen, Mikey Malone will verify this story. Is Mikey Malone back in studio to DJ for us in the fourth hour? There was a girl. Mikey, are you listening? Mikey, are you listening? There was a lady at Romeo's one night when we were DJing at Romeo's, and he knows what story I'm going to tell. She had to weigh as much as me and Mikey combined. Big girl. Now I got nothing against big girls. Okay, takes women of every shape and size to please men of every shape and size. But this girl was a big girl. Now, the rule is if you're big, know how to dress, know how to present yourself, know how to carry yourself. She was wearing a one-piece dress. I don't know what those things are called, but it's one of those dresses that starts about midway up in between your knee and your thigh. It's not. No, this was not a muumuu. It's one of those tight body things that start halfway between your knee and your thigh, and goes all the way up into a one piece thing that comes up here and attaches to in a kind of a dress thing, right?
A shift, yes.
Okay, that's what it's called, a shift.
Yeah.
Okay.
One piece. Yeah.
One piece thing, right? So she was probably a size 24, 28, 50, dressing like she was a size 6. Okay, so she would be out on the dance floor and she'd be shaking it and she'd be dancing, and her dress would creep up the back of her legs until her massive thighs revealed her massive backside. And again, I don't have an issue with women of any shape and size. I just don't care. Be how you want to be. But please have some self-respect.
Have some dignity.
But to turn this back on what we were talking about, it's funny that women that dress like that will then turn around and say, "Oh my God, but I want my privacy respected." or I don't want TSA scanning pictures
I
of
can't
the
imagine a woman that
curvature
would
of
dress
my
like that worrying
of,
about it.
of my boobages or whatever.
You know?
I don't know. Maybe listeners are at home going, K-Dog's an idiot and he's wrong.
I
and-
don't think you're an idiot. I just think it's, for one thing, I was raised different than you were. I was raised in the Midwest by my grandparents.
Sure.
And a lady doesn't do that.
And you're a woman.
Right.
And it's not bad, but you're a woman. And I think women have a different view of the respect that they want for their bodies than a man does. A man can walk around literally in shorts, creeping up the crack of his butt, and a man is like, I don't care. And women
And they frequently do.
and women care. I
Yes.
think that there's a huge difference between how men and women want to be perceived in the world. So I think
There
that's
is.
part of it as well.
There is. And there's a big difference about how much they care. You know, like women like what you're talking about in the bar, dressing like
Yeah.
that, you know, and women that, you know, like I was raised by my grandparents, which makes it even worse in the Midwest.
Mm-hmm.
And I was raised that a lady doesn't go places by herself. Like you don't go to a restaurant, you don't go to a movie by yourself. You know, a lady doesn't do that. And
Well,
in
yeah,
my
but
head,
that was the 50s.
in my head,
where Elvis wiggling his ass on the
hush.
on the Art Linkletter show was considered
no,
a
we're
sin.
talking the late 60s, early 70s.
Mm-hmm.
But in my head, I know that's stupid. But there's something about when you had it pounded in your head for years, you know, it's hard to shake that.
Yeah. Well, it's, you know, what's on the topic for next week? Do you know?
I'm doing some research. One of the things I'm going to talk about is marijuana, what it is,
Mm-hmm.
what's coming, what we can expect, how scary is it? You know, Reefer Madness, how true is that?
Sure.
You know, you remember? Did you ever see Reefer Madness?
No, that was a little before my
You
time.
have got to
little
I don't know,
before my
YouTube
time.
or something. Go back and find.
Listen,
Reefer
you
Madness.
probably have stories of when you guys had nuclear bomb test drills, when you guys would climb under your desks.
Oh, shut up! You said
Did
there,
you?
You heard me talking.
Did you?
about
No,
that.
I didn't. I didn't hear you talk
Yes,
about that.
we
Did
had
you
to
have
climb
those?
under
We
our
didn't. We
desks.
didn't have those.
During the atomic bomb drills.
Yeah, we didn't have those.
And put our arms over our heads like this.
We didn't
because
have those.
that would
We had
that would
earthquake
save
drills.
us.
We didn't have. We had earthquake drills.
Yeah, that would save us somehow if we sat under our desk with our arms over
Yeah.
our heads.
Hey, while you're here, can I
Yes.
tell you what we'll be talking about next week?
What?
I'm really excited about this because it's very rare that we get a something this controversial to come on the show, and then get the guy that wrote it to come on the show.
Cool.
But there is a guy named Frank Aquila, who actually has been on the show before. He's the guy that wrote the book Sarah Palin Out of Nowhere. So you probably heard the commercials on the show before. He's been a good friend of the show. We've had him on before. But Frank Aquila is the guy who wrote that Sarah Palin Out of Nowhere book. He's one of the guys that was instrumental behind the scenes on getting Sarah on McCain's ticket as the VP. Campaigned for her, has met her, is really active in conservative circles in Southern California.
Big fan.
So next week in the 9 o'clock hour, we're going to have Frank on. And again, we have a good working relationship with Frank, but I'm going to disagree with Frank a lot, and I actually think Paul might too. But Frank wrote a very long dissertation off of his website page, off of his Facebook page, and it's called "Debunking the Myths of Homosexuality." Now, it's very long. I want to read you the first paragraph, and Paul's in here too. I'm going to read this, and I'm just setting this up because I want the people that are at home that are listening to this to be like, wow, I must make sure I tune in for 9 p.m. next week so that we can hear Frank defend himself. Let me read this. Due to political correctness, Americans has been, and he's an author, Americans has been led to believe many myths of homosexuality, and the results are hurting our children. Over 50 years ago, the communist movement in America presented 45 goals to change America into a communist nation. And then he gives a link for that. Goal 26 was to present homosexuality as normal, natural, and healthy. During the past 50 years, the lesbian, gay, bisexual, and transgender community has successfully used tolerance of accepting this alternative lifestyle as natural and normal throughout our nation. They're using the schools, student newspapers to infiltrate to the press and gain control of key positions in radio, TV, and motion pictures to promote their lies and propaganda. He then goes through the rest of this very long, lengthy article, and he basically explains that us accepting homosexuality is part of a communist agenda within our nation. and that it
You're
is
kidding me.
no, I'm serious as a heart attack. Let me read this. Hold on, let me find the. Those that promote homosexuality suggest for children to explore their body and experiment with those that are the same sex. Children are being taught that homosexuality is normal and natural. Harry Hay, who is an advocate for NAMBLA, the North American Man-Boy Love Association, stated, quote, if the parents and friends of gays are truly friends of gays, they would know from their gay kids that the relationship with an older man is precisely what 13, 14, to 15-year-old kids need more than anything else in the world. So, end quote. So he's basically now taking gay, and now he's making gay pedophile because he's bringing NAMBLA into it. And it's going to be a very interesting conversation. I have a lot of respect for Frank. We don't share a lot of ideological views, but I respect him as somebody who's active and is what he thinks is in the best interest of his country, and as an author and a guy who's active in politics. So I think it's going to be an interesting discussion, but we'll have him on in the 9 o'clock hour next week.
I'm going to have to figure out how to get home and hear that.
Yeah, you should. You should take a car, yeah. Because you only live like 10 minutes from here, and your show's over at 7. By 9 p.m., you should be home in your footsie pajamas.
Yeah, 9 o'clock.
That you got from Goodwill.
Yeah, did not.
No, it's a song. It's a song by Macklemore. You know, get the footsies.
Not
with
your grandpa. Yeah, I know.
Yeah, and then you rock that. Yeah, all right. All right, so we're going to go to break. So anything else on the show for next week?
A lot of stuff. I haven't finalized it yet.
Okay, all right. So tune in to the Raw Nerve with Susan, 5 to 7 p.m. right before this very show here on Edge Media Source. Thanks for sticking around for some crosstalk and filling the gap till Paul got here.
You bet.
And Paul is here, so we'll bring him on live here in just a moment.
Hey.
It's the Outlaw Radio Network. Coming up after the break, what are we talking about first, Paul? Do you know? Do you have anything in mind? Specific? Okay. He's not going to tell us. It's a teaser. You'll be surprised after the break. So change your underwear and put on your big boy pants. We're back after this.
You're listening to the Outlaw Radio Network. OutlawRadioNetwork.com.
Hey, St. Paul, the voice of reason here. Wanted to send a quick shout out to our friends at Pacific Northwest Artisans. They're a custom concrete and design fabrication company. They can do all of your concrete needs. They can do pathways, walkways, driveways, you name it. You need a new foundation, you're going to do an add-on, give them a call, 731-9812 or 649-0987. Again, that's 731-9812 or 649-0987. Pacific Northwest Artisans, all of your concrete needs.
Hey, sports fans, have you ever wished there was a live and local all-sports broadcasting network, but wish no more? It's ISPNsports.com. Kitsap's only live and local all-sports 24-hour broadcasting network, featuring the Kitsap Blue Jackets, Olympic College Rangers, high school athletics, and the ISPN Sports Show every Saturday morning from 10 to noon with interviews from exclusive guests from around the Sound. So, you want sports? Go to ISPNsports.com.
Hey, it's Kevin with the Outlaw Radio Network. When it came time for the guys with Outlaw Radio to get our tuxes for the Habitat for Humanity of Kitsap County's Raise the Roof event, we honestly had no idea where to get them. Then we found Judy at Judy's Sewing in East Bremerton. As evidenced by the name, Judy's Sewing does tailoring, alterations, and repair. She also does tuxedo rentals starting at $69, bridal party dresses for $69, and bride's dresses starting at only $189. Plus, we also learned that at Judy's Sewing, not only does she offer military members prices that are lower than they're going to find at the Navy Exchange, she also prioritizes their orders. That means if you're in the military, your needs move right to the front of the line. It's a special touch of service you can only get from a locally based business like Judy's Sewing. Judy's Sewing at the corner of Fairgrounds Road in Central Valley in East Bremerton, right near Handy Andy's. Or call Judy at 360-662-1212. 662-1212. Judy's Sewing, a local business that's proud to support her community.
I'm Elaine Terso with Elaine Terso Photography. Let me tell you why I say that I am not your average photographer. At Elaine Terso Photography, I can handle all of your photography needs, including weddings, families, and newborns. I have an in-home studio, or I am able to come to you to take photos wherever you want to be. Mention Guardian Broadcasting when you book, and I will give you a 10% discount. For more information, visit me online at ElaineTersophotography.com or find me on Facebook.
As Kitsap County's largest maintenance provider, Team Innovative in Paulsbo provides commercial and residential maintenance to hundreds of millions of dollars of local real estate. With services including parking lot maintenance and street cleaning to landscape and design, Team Innovative is committed to using a green approach and following a strong environmental conscience. Team Innovative Services, 697-6858, or visit them online at getinnovative.net. Team Innovative Services, get serious, get innovative.
Located 3520 Kitsap Way in Bremerton, Arnold's Home Furnishing has been serving the Kitsap County community since 1951. For nearly 60 years, Arnold's has been here taking care of its customers with excellent customer service and quality merchandise you'll find nowhere else. And visit arnoldshomefurnishing.com to view all the merchandise available and see their current promotions. Arnold's Home Furnishing, to fit every lifestyle and budget.
All right, it's the Outlaw Radio Network. Thanks to Mikey Malone for stepping in and being the board out for a minute. Thanks, Mikey. Still got that touch.
Yeah, you gotta be careful how you say that. You just went from talking about NAMBLA and gays to Mikey Malone, and thanks. Good thing you've still got the touch, Mike. You should run things through your brain pan a little bit more.
I'm sorry, we had a 3-minute commercial break in between NAMBLA and touch. If you
still
can't
brought
get
it up,
NAMBLA
dude.
out of your brain,
No,
in
you
the
still
commercial
brought it
break,
up. That's still on you, brother. Still on you.
Really?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Totally. So, listen. Sorry again. I apologize fervently. I got about 15 minutes here towards the studio and realized that. Caleb had called me and asked me to bring some stuff to his house that my son had inadvertently taken home, and I had it all set out. And just as I was getting ready to leave, I actually had to. Don't laugh. Don't even make a comment.
No, this is going to be good.
I had to unload some hay so that the horses could be fed, and just hopped in my truck and drove here, and then got part of the way here and was like, oh man, I left the stuff sitting out on the porch, all ready to go, and I had just you ever done that? You set something out to take with you. You get distracted, you get in your car and you leave it sitting out. And I couldn't leave the stuff sitting out. It was electronic gear. Mm-hmm. So I had to turn around and go back, pick it up and bring it back here for Caleb. So I ended up running a little bit late. And then, I didn't want to interrupt you and Susan's gay talk. So
the gay talk.
Well, that's what you were talking about.
Okay.
Right?
No, well, we were talking about the guest we're going to have on next week. There's more about the guest and what he wrote.
And by the way, don't try to insinuate what I am or am not going to feel about something. You may be right on.
I'm just
you
guessing.
may be right on. You may be way off base too. You never know. So you should be nice about that stuff and not listen. And that's a big problem. That listen. And again, it's not that my liberal friends are so ignorant or so stupid. It's just that they know so much that isn't so. So you just have to take a step back.
Okay.
Figure things out for yourself and just not try to, put stuff off on me and not try to insinuate that I'm going to think or feel a certain way about something.
Hey, can I ask you a question really quick?
Yeah, please do.
This is one of the most commented articles on the Kitsap Sons website.
Mm-hmm.
It is the most emailed article on the Kitsap Sons website.
In what amount of time?
It is the most. I don't know what kind of time frame they use on this. I don't know. I don't know what their matrix is for this. And it is the most viewed article on the Kitsap Sons website. Mm-hmm. So I don't feel stupid bringing it up. Mikey and I talked about this on the way over, and I didn't know any of this stuff till I went to the site and found it. But can I read this to you really quick?
Yeah, go ahead.
This is interesting to me only because I go to church. Okay? Mm-hmm. So this may be the shortest conversation in the history of this show. You may say, K-Dog, you're stupid, change the subject. I'm going to read this. This is off of the Kitsap Sons website, written by Stephen Gardner, who was writing politics and is now writing about church. Figure that out. Posted on April 13th, by the way, which was yesterday. And I'll just read the first couple paragraphs. There's a Kitsap wrinkle in the old story that those who find depth and meaning in all the greenery of the Pacific Northwest are not often finding it in church. A Gallup survey puts the Bremerton-Silverdale area as the least religious area in Washington and the 7th least religious area in the entire country. Gallup relied on boundaries drawn by the Census Bureau when it defined metropolitan statistical areas. The Bremerton-Silverdale area is all of Kitsap County and nothing else. The company asked at least 300 people in 189 regions whether they attended church every week and whether religion was an important part of their daily lives. In Kitsap County, Gallup asked 408 people those questions and found that 25.5% consider themselves highly religious and 24% moderately religious. That means more than half of the residents in Kitsap County consider themselves not religious. Only one of 8 areas in the country to pass the 50% mark. Does that surprise you? Or is it just me?
No, it doesn't surprise me at all.
That we would be, as an area, in the top 7 least religious areas in the entire country.
No, it doesn't surprise me in the least. I mean, you can see it in the voting records of the local community, number one. Number two, half the churches here locally, to be honest with you, are fake. They're kitchen table Christians, as I like to call them. Basically, they sit around and they talk the talk. They don't walk the walk. Does that make sense?
Sure.
Okay. And again, listen, there are just a ton of churches around here where the only time they're open and the only time people go to them are, Sundays between 7 and noon. And it just doesn't do it. Anyway, but no, it doesn't surprise me at all. Now, I didn't have anything to base that on with regards to the rest of the country.
Sure.
But I have no reason to discount that.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's going off of people who responded to poll questions, right?
Sure. Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I thought it was an interesting thing. My pastor actually referenced it in service this morning, so it made me go look for the story, and I just think it's interesting. And of course, if you go read the comments in the story, it's funny because the Christians say that the story is wrong and everybody's lying, which I don't know how that makes any sense. And then the agnostics or the non-believers are this proves there's no God, which doesn't make any sense either. So. Go read the comments. It's funny. All right. So you had a topic you wanted to bring. I just wanted to bring that up really quick. I thought that was interesting.
Well, hold on. This computer's running a little bit slow.
Wait a minute. How could Kitsap County be? I understand when you talk about the voting record and all of that. How could we be more non-religious than like Seattle? I mean, Seattle's definitely more liberal than, because you're taking Kitsap County as a whole. So that means you're going to count southern Kitsap County, which is Olalla, which is pretty conservative, and parts of northern Kitsap County are pretty conservative.
But you're not basing that off of anything but your opinion.
Well, voting records, they tend to vote. They tend to vote a little more conservative in Port Orchard, don't they?
Olalla?
Well,
how would you know that?
But just in who they voted for. I mean, Jan Angel's your representative in the southern end. I mean, she's a Republican. Mathis was a guy who ran a couple of years ago and almost won as a conservative. I mean, they tend to go a little more conservative in the southern end.
Apparently not.
I could be wrong. Yeah.
Apparently not. Right?
Apparently not. All right. I don't know.
So
I'm just surprised. That's all. I figured like Detroit, Chicago, L.A., you get into the inner cities.
Oh, no, there they have black liberation theology.
God bless America. God damn America. All right, go ahead. Go ahead. Sorry.
No, now you got me laughing. And I got a serious topic to talk about
all right,
here.
Go ahead. Bring it
Knock it off.
Topic. Go ahead.
All right.
The chickens have come home to roost.
Damn it. Really?
The chickens have come home to roost. What do you think Jerry's doing right now? Anyway,
play with his kids.
He's not still. No, I meant Jerry. Jerry Wright. You know what?
I know what you meant.
He's not a minister anymore, is he?
No, he's not. He's apparently.
Does he have a show on Real TV now or something? Or
yeah, him and Jesse Ventura.
did he get a post in Obama's cabinet?
Yeah, him and Van Jones are having tea every Tuesday.
Okay.
So anyway,
he's in charge of the Obama farm because the chickens are roosting. All right, go ahead.
Did you have a chance, by the way, to post anything about this out there right now? Do we?
Sorry, go ahead.
I was asking you a question.
No, I did not.
Okay.
No, go ahead.
If you're out there and you're listening to this story right now, I want you to please pay a ton of attention. Pay very close attention to what we're about to talk about.
Yes.
I'm an information junkie, and so I go way out of my way to try to read up as much as I can on as much as I can, and then dive into it and figure out if it's true or if it's false, which is why I generally sound so much more intelligent about things than Kevin here on the show.
Shut your mouth.
So there was an interesting story floating around, and I was unable to give it any credence or credit, but I still found it fascinating. And so if you've listened to the show with any frequency, you know that we have an inside source who's a personal friend. I won't talk about how close of a friend or not close or whatever, but he works in intelligence at the Pentagon. And So I sent him a copy of this story that I'm about to tell you about to get his take on it. As we all are aware, there's a lot going on right now. We've talked about it for the last couple of weeks with North Korea. There's a lot going on with Kim Jong-un and his lack of maturity. And, listen, it's like taking Dennis the Menace, giving him a six-pack of beer, and telling him to run the poorest country on earth. This is what Kim Jong-un is like. Mm-hmm. So let me, before I talk about my conversation with the captain, with our contact within the Pentagon, within Defense Intelligence sources. Here was the story that I was looking to get some information from him about. I just needed to know. Listen, have you heard anything about this? Do you know anything about it? Is this even true? Mm-hmm. Because I hadn't heard anything about it. Okay. Here was the story that I was referring to. North Korea's satellite KMS-3-2 suspect EMP orbit over America. Not only extreme solar flares can cause geomagnetic storming, power outages, damage to radio and satellite telecommunications, and other technological systems, but they can also cause an EMP burst. An electromagnetic pulse caused by an enemy attack, a nuclear device detonated above the atmosphere over the United States, can cause entire regions of the country to lose electricity permanently and could end modern life in America. This is the premise of this whole story. Okay. Now, if you've listened to this show regularly, you've heard us talk about this about a year ago when stuff was really starting to heat up with Iran, because Iran had literally said, under no uncertain terms, we can take the United States out with one nuclear warhead, which was in part responsible for a lot of hostilities and a lot of tension. And the missile defense system that was being put in Poland was partly responsible because of this situation. Mm-hmm. Iran was basically saying, we can launch one nuclear warhead at you, and if one detonates 300 miles over the atmosphere of the United States, or 300 miles high, that electromagnetic pulse burst would be the equivalent of a CME or a geomagnetic or storm basically hitting the United States of America, mm-hmm. thereby frying all of your electrical components. Most importantly, your power substations, thereby doing what, ladies and gentlemen? That's right, knocking out power in a large section or a large region of the country, depending upon the magnitude of the blast. It could be anywhere from 50% to 100% of this country. So it goes on, the article goes on to state, and I don't have to read it all here. KMS-3-2, that's the name of North Korea's satellite. Is it North Korea's weather satellite or an EMP nuclear device? Question mark. On December 12th of 2012, Kwang Myeong-song, KMS-3-2, was launched into space on a polar orbit and is said to be an, quote, Earth observation satellite, but is being widely portrayed as a veiled ballistic missile test. Coincidence? From April 8th to the 16th, the satellite passes over the east coast of America and as far west as just west of the New Madrid fault line, which basically is Mississippi River region. For
Missouri.
Those of you.
Missouri.
And over and over and over again. And some people suggest that the KMS-3-2 may actually be a super EMP nuclear device. Basically, to accomplish that, you would need a low-yield nuclear device such as the one that struck Hiroshima or Nagasaki. Mm-hmm. Okay? But if it detonates 300 miles over the United States, it comes down in a conical. So you can see if it comes down in a conical shape, the EMP, the higher it is, there's a certain height that's optimal, and it's about 300 miles. Is that optimal height, which just happens to be exactly where this satellite is. Now, 300 miles high is a very, very, very low orbit for a satellite.
Okay. Very
low. Either it's a spy satellite with very poor imagery for a country with only 605 internet connections, North Korea. It's the truth. I'm not making that up either. That's true. But some people are questioning, what this satellite is for. The satellite orbit along the eastern U.S. at an altitude of 300 miles is the perfect altitude for an EMP attack that would provide maximum damage. It's just speculation. But given the ongoing nuclear threats from North Korea, we cannot rule out the possibility of an EMP attack. You can check out the flight path of KMS-3-2, and then it gives us a space. And I actually have this, and if it's possible, Caleb may be able to pull it up, and he can put it on the screen so that you guys can see it. An EMP attack, and I agree with this in this article, is America's Achilles heel. A wave of EMP creates three chaotic effects. First, the electromagnetic shock will disrupt electrical devices. The second effect is similar to lightning, a power surge that would burn circuits and immobilize electronic components and systems. The third is a pulse effect that flows through electricity transmission lines, damaging distribution centers and fusing power lines. Any of these can cause irreversible damage to an electronic system. The result of a massive EMP event could be devastating. Communications would collapse, transportation would halt, and the electrical power supply would be flat out non-existent. Not even a global humanitarian effort would be enough to keep hundreds of millions of Americans from death by starvation, exposure, or lack of medicine. Nor would the catastrophe stop at the U.S. borders. Most of Canada would be devastated as well, as its infrastructure is integrated with the U.S. power grid. Without the American economic engine, the world economy would quickly collapse. Earth would most likely recede into a new dark ages. Most Americans do not know this. A nation that does not know how to live without technology would almost entirely be stripped of it at that point. And then he goes on to say, yes, this could really happen. This is no joke. So I was like, well, I hadn't heard anything about this satellite. Mm-hmm. So I was like, did a satellite really get launched? Did North Korea put a satellite into air? Because as far as all the information that I'd read, they were having trouble with the 3-stage rocket launching it over Japan. You know, this is like a guy who's saying, I can be a major league pitcher, but hasn't even been drafted yet. Okay?
Right.
So I'm like, oh, this doesn't really. So I went back and I did some research, and it didn't take long to find a few little short news quips about the fact that, yes, in point of fact, in December of so just here 6 months ago, 4 or 5 months ago, North Korea did in fact put a satellite in geosynchronous orbit. And then with a little bit more research, I find that, okay, nobody knows what it is or what it's for. The North Koreans claim it's a weather satellite. Mm-hmm. There's one little small problem with that, and that's that the satellite doesn't actually go over Korea. So that kind of becomes a little bit, well, it's stupid, right? Mm-hmm. Hey, I'm going to put a weather satellite up here for Q13 Seattle. By the way, it's going to orbit Washington, D.C. Wouldn't do a lot of good, would it?
No, not
right?
at all.
So I contacted our friend who works at the Pentagon and had a conversation with him. Now, a lot of what he said to me is completely off the record. It's top secret type of stuff, and I cannot discuss it. Mm-hmm. But he sent me some stuff in an email format. Caleb, are you able to pull up, or would you have any luck putting one of these the picture of the geosynchronous orbit of the satellite up? Okay, he's going to try that. So he's going to try that, and then you'll get a chance to see where this orbit travels over the United States. And let me go ahead and read to you now, again, this is edited. If it sounds a little bit disjointed, I sincerely apologize, but there are parts of this that I could not discuss here on air, okay? And we'll start with this. This is the captain's response email to me. The continuing orchestration of subject, content, and direction continues a relentless spin, which is designed to inundate the mind and assure everyone that everything is A-OK. The scenario of questioning and not receiving an affirmation nor denial from a general should be of concern. Although it is part of the game of Punch and Judy. Now that's, again, Punch and Judy, that's two puppets hitting each other back and forth over and over again to no end. And they keep living and they keep hitting each other.
Right.
To where we watch the harmless characters pound each other. This is not the case. And the actions of the United States with naval THAAD, which is, it's THAAD. And I don't know, we're going to talk about that in a second. Actually, do you know what THAAD is? I better make this clear right now.
What is THAAD?
THAAD is a new weapon system that has been introduced into the Middle East.
Okay.
It is a laser system. It's a
like
high-energy
laser?
It is a real laser that has been. It is now fitted to an Aegis-class destroyer, and it can be used to shoot down a missile or aircraft at any height. It's invisible.
Really?
You can't see it. Basically, the missile or the airplane, and I've got test footage on my computer at home, and I thought about showing it tonight, but I think it was going to be too much more. But you can see the aircraft flies along, and it just all of a sudden starts catching on fire, and within 2 or 3 seconds, it's a ball of fire and falling towards the ocean. Mm-hmm. Basically, it's a laser weapon. It's a constant laser weapon that allows them to basically down any type of electrical component flying through the air. And the interesting thing about it was the one admiral that was talking about it said, it costs us $198,000 to launch a cruise missile. It costs us $1.63 to fire this. I was like, damn.
Which is pretty good. That's a pretty good investment on the return.
Right? Yeah, isn't it? I mean, you're using light, for God's sakes, and microwaves. So so anyway, back to this.
Microwaves. Somebody's just throwing microwaves at these things?
Yeah, well, it doesn't take much to fry electrical equipment. Let's see. So this is not the case, and the actions of the United States with naval, THAAD, and troop reassignment with Russian, Chinese, and Japanese reacting in the same manner. The hourly loss of the factory, which is a large section of Korea where they have joint, it's basically this area about the size of Bremerton, and it's full of factories and businesses running cooperation with South Korea. It literally is the only form of income that North Korea has. It's it. It's like there's like 180 companies that are centered there. It's a huge industrial complex. There's like 50,000 North Koreans that work there and 10,000 South Koreans. Okay, and North Korea makes a lot of money. Makes most of their money off this. Like $110 million a year they make off of the taxes and the rent and everything else that these companies pay. Well, they've shut it down and told everybody to leave.
Right.
Okay. At the worst times, they've never done that. Even when North Korea was shelling the little island off the west coast of Korea, even when they damaged the destroyer a couple years back, they did not close this area down. So a lot of people are looking at that as an indicator. And then the captain goes on to say, omission of the fact that North Korea successfully launched a payload that is orbiting the United States should be of concern to everyone under its flight path and to all Americans. The lack of clarity of the U.S. intelligence identification, assessment, and potential of this unknown payload should have every American calling Washington, D.C., because if avoidance is counted as not being asked, then it is time for transparency. The actions taken are not diplomatic, and after losing the election, he is in the right place if war breaks out, because there is an incredible amount of artillery that has been practicing for 50-plus years. Basically what he's talking about there, and again, I've had to edit some of this stuff out. The previous South Korean leader lost the election. There's a new woman that's in charge there of South Korea. And basically what he's saying is that, that the North Koreans have been practicing using this artillery for 50 years just to kill Americans and South Koreans. So it appears that the media and administration want Americans to believe that the North Koreans are incapable of hitting a target, and this logic defies common sense because they used a military booster rocket to launch an unknown payload that is crossing over the eastern United States. You get his point? Mm-hmm. So if you're going to go out there and you're going to go on national TV as a pundit or a military systems analyst or whatever, and you're going to say, no, the Koreans don't have anything that can reach the United States. No, the Koreans can't accurately shoot a missile. Hey, wait a second. He makes a good point. They put a satellite in orbit.
Right.
So,
and they're not 100% sure what's even on the damn satellite in the first place.
So do you really believe that is his point? Okay.
Well, hold on. One question, though. It is true, though, that we haven't seen any type of missile test on a long range, any kind of long range missiles, though, right? I mean, we haven't seen enough.
Not from North Korea,
right? Now the Chinese, on the other hand,
the Chinese, who are their biggest trading partner, or the Iranians, who do have long range missiles capable of striking the United States.
Do they have something that could go that far?
Yeah, that's why we were setting up. That's why we were working with Poland to set up a missile defense system.
Okay.
Which Obama came in after being elected and promptly shut down.
Okay.
Which we still haven't gotten a legitimate reason for.
Do you think, in a non-related question, do you think Ahmadinejad is hoping that North Korea does something? Because if North Korea does something, doesn't it give him
gives him free carte blanche, baby?
Well, I mean, the minute we get involved in a skirmish in North Korea, don't you think that that's his opportunity to strike at Israel?
Yeah, no, it's completely correct.
Yeah. Okay.
Completely correct. Here's the kicker. There is no transmission currently emanating from the payload, nor is it possible that it is a reconnaissance satellite. And the circumstances surrounding the launch is the circumstances surrounding the launch were such as the North Koreans waited until the United States was going to be unable to see the payload launch into orbit. So in other words, we didn't see the launch. Okay. Because of time of day, weather, and other such things. So we have no idea what it looks like or anything else. He goes on to make some personal stuff here. He says now there's a question mark about the payload, and specifically because there is no transmission coming from it.
Right.
So they're able to look at this satellite and say, we don't know what the satellite is. We don't know when they launched it exactly. We know the day. We don't know when during the day. We don't know what it looked like, which means we can't effectively discern what it is,
right,
or what the satellite is. But what we do know is there's no transmission coming from this satellite.
Right.
Okay. So again, not the fact that it's a weather satellite, but it doesn't go over our property or our land, right? But there's not even a transmission coming from it. So something is going on there, and essentially, and off the record, I will tell you, and I'm paraphrasing here because this was part of the off the record conversation. They don't know, and when I say they, I mean military intelligence personnel. Essentially, what the satellite is, what its intentions are, what its purposes are. So it's just as likely that it's a weather satellite, even though there's no transmissions coming from it and it doesn't travel over Korea, as it is likely that it could be a device capable of producing an EMP.
Right.
So literally they're saying, yeah, it could be. We have no way of knowing. It absolutely could be. They also have no way of shooting down the satellite.
Could they take it down with the laser from the Aegis class?
Couldn't tell you. I don't know. That's all classified.
All right, classified. All right, stick around. We're going to talk some more North Korea when we come back out of the break, too. And then we're going to switch gears to some other stuff as well. He is St. Paul, the voice of reason.
He's K-Dog, the loose cannon.
Stick around. More of the Outlaw Radio Network back after this on EdgeMediaSource.com.
You're listening to the Outlaw Radio Network. OutlawRadioNetwork.com.
From NPR News in Washington, I'm Barbara Klein. North Korea is rejecting an offer by South Korea to engage in dialogue to resolve rising tensions, calling it a crafty trick. Asia-Pacific Foundation analyst Sajan Gohel says it's no surprise North Korean leader Kim Jong-un is rejecting the offer, and it could prompt China to take firmer action against Pyongyang.
Illustrate that he's got a firm grip on the country, and it also perhaps puts more pressure on allies of North Korea like China, who have been calling for negotiations, because now the North has rejected those negotiations. It may need Beijing to actually put pressure on North Korea.
Meanwhile, Secretary of State John Kerry today said again the U.S. is open to negotiating with Pyongyang if it honors its agreements. This week serves a full plate of economic indicators and earnings statements from banks and tech companies. They come amid signs that the long-battered housing market is starting to get back on its feet, and the economy is expanding in most parts of the country. As Danielle Carson reports, analysts expect this week's data to reflect those improvements.
The spotlight will be in what are expected to be weak earnings reports for Citigroup, Goldman Sachs, and Bank of America. The tech lineup includes Yahoo, Intel, Google, IBM, and Microsoft. February's consumer price index was up, driven mostly by higher prices at the pump. But with gasoline costs falling, economists predict a dip in the March CPI, which comes out Tuesday. Housing starts, also out Tuesday, are likely to show that the growing demand for homes is convincing builders to step up production, a positive trend for the broader economy. The Federal Reserve's Beige Book survey is expected to reflect an economy that's catching its second wind so far this year. For NPR News, I'm Danielle Carson.
Authorities in Washington state say one woman has died and a man is missing after two separate avalanches east of Seattle. NPR's Kirk Ziegler reports the avalanches follow a major storm that dumped more than 2 feet of snow on the Cascade Mountains.
The avalanche danger across the Cascades has risen because of two spring storms. The first brought rain and ice, which froze, and the next dumped heavy snow on top of that, which didn't settle well and triggered slides. Forecaster Kenny Kramer is director of the Northwest Weather and Avalanche Center.
We're not out of the woods yet at all.
The avalanches occurred in the Snoqualmie Pass area, which is popular with backcountry skiers and snowshoers due to its easy access from Interstate 90. Kramer says the incidents are a reminder that people planning to recreate the mountains should check conditions first and be prepared. Kirk Ziegler, NPR News.
A large swath of the country is under winter weather advisories, warnings, and watches. Snow and freezing temperatures are moving from Montana to Michigan. The National Weather Service says the major late-season storm will bring blizzard conditions to parts of North Dakota. This is NPR. A top Obama administration official is in Russia for talks on missile defense and other pressing geopolitical issues. But as NPR's Corey Flintoff reports, the mission could be distracted by what the Russians are calling a war of lists.
National Security Advisor Tom Donilon comes to Moscow in the middle of a tit-for-tat quarrel. On Friday, the Obama administration issued a list of 18 Russian officials who will be banned from the United States because of alleged human rights violations, most of which are connected with the death of a whistleblowing Russian lawyer named Sergei Magnitsky. On Saturday, Russia published a list of 18 Americans who will be barred from Russia on similar allegations. Donilon is in Moscow to talk about other matters, including proposed missile defense systems and U.S.-Russia cooperation on the civil war in Syria. It's not clear whether he'll be able to make much progress in the current angry climate. Corey Flintoff, NPR News, Moscow.
Australian Adam Scott is wearing the green jacket after winning the Masters Golf Tournament in Augusta, Georgia, just minutes ago. NPR's Tom Goldman is in Augusta and tells us Scott won in a playoff round.
After both Adam Scott of Australia and Angel Cabrera of Argentina had dramatic birdies on the 18th hole of regulation, the tournament went into sudden death overtime, a playoff, and they tied after the first hole. On the second hole, they both hit good shots to the green. They were both putting for birdie putts. Cabrera missed his by an inch, and then Adam Scott stepped up and sank a 10 to 12 foot putt to win the Masters. It's the first Masters for an Australian. It's Scott's first. It was a triumphant day for him.
NPR's Tom Goldman, and I'm Barbara Klein, NPR News in Washington.
Hey, St. Paul, the voice of reason here. Wanted to send a quick shout out to our friends at Pacific Northwest Artisans. They're a custom concrete and design fabrication company. They can do all of your concrete needs. They can do pathways, walkways, driveways, you name it. You need a new foundation, you're going to do an add-on, give them a call, 731-9812 or 649-0987. Again, that's 731-9812 or 649-0987. Pacific Northwest Artisans, all of your concrete needs.
Hey, sports fans, if you ever wished there was a live and local all-sports broadcasting network, but wish no more, it's ISPNsports.com. Kitsap's only live and local all-sports 24-hour broadcasting network, featuring the Kitsap Blue Jackets, Olympic College Rangers, high school athletics, and the ISPN Sports Show every Saturday morning from 10 to noon with interviews from exclusive guests from around the Sound. So, you want sports? Go to ISPNsports.com.
Hey, it's Kevin with the Outlaw Radio Network. When it came time for the guys with Outlaw Radio to get our tuxes for the Habitat for Humanity of Kitsap County's Raise the Roof event, we honestly had no idea where to get them. Then we found Judy at Judy's Sewing in East Bremerton. As evidenced by the name, Judy's Sewing does tailoring, alterations, and repair. She also does tuxedo rentals starting at $69, bridal party dresses for $69, and bride's dresses starting at only $189. Plus, we also learned that at Judy's Sewing, not only does she offer military members prices that are lower than they're going to find at the Navy Exchange, she also prioritizes their orders. That means if you're in the military, your needs move right to the front of the line. It's a special touch of service you can only get from a locally based business like Judy's Sewing. Judy's Sewing at the corner of Fairgrounds Road in Central Valley in East Bremerton, right near Handy Andy's, or call Judy at 360-662-1212. 662-1212. Judy's Sewing, a local business that's proud to support her community.
I'm Elaine Turso with Elaine Turso Photography. Let me tell you why I say that I am not your average photographer. At Elaine Turso Photography, I can handle all of your photography needs, including weddings, families, and newborns. I have an in-home studio, or I am able to come to you to take photos wherever you want to be. Mention Guardian Broadcasting when you book, and I will give you a 10% discount. For more information, visit me online at ElaineTursoPhotography.com or find me on Facebook.
All right, it's the Outlaw Radio Network.
St. Paul, the voice of reason. K-Dog, the loose cannon.
So I'm ordering pizza. We're going to do something
What are you doing?
we shouldn't do. This is going to be fun,
I don't
though.
understand what you were doing.
Hey, Mikey, I'm ordering from Domino's because, because I'm in the mood for Domino's because their pizza is not really good for you. It's greasy as hell, and I'm a fat guy who wants pizza. Mikey, what kind of pasta did you want again? Italian sausage marinara. Thank you very much.
What are you doing?
Well, no, listen, they do this really cool thing. Do you have cash on you, Mikey? Okay, I'm going to pay with my card then. All right, they do this really cool thing that I'll introduce you to in a minute. If you haven't ordered off the Domino's site, then you'll like this. Oh, for God's sakes.
Make sure you select what do you say?
A bread bowl.
A bread bowl?
A bread bowl. Hold on, I got to do this over again.
This is horrible.
Hey, I got a question for you.
Yeah, I got an answer for you.
We were talking about this thing with North Korea.
Yep.
I'm curious what you think the end result of this thing is. And before you answer that question, let me CNN did a thing about what they believe is the three different scenarios are. Okay, and really quick, I won't read the whole thing, but I want to read the three of these to you, and then you tell me which of these three you think is likely, or if there's something I'm missing. Okay.
Okay.
So scenario number one is what Kim Jong-un hopes. The North Korea threats continue to escalate. Pyongyang renews earlier threats to transfer its nuclear deterrent capabilities to third parties in the Middle East, and they declare South Korean waters west of the peninsula an open fire zone. And that eventually, I'm going to have to read more of this for it to make sense. The South Korean stock market plummets. Chinese leaders begin to panic about instability on the borders. Washington is desperate to set aside the North Korean problem while dealing with a parallel crisis in Iran. The North proposes negotiations on a peace treaty formally ending the Korean War, but only if international sanctions imposed on the regime after their previous nuclear missile tests are suspended. Washington, Seoul, and Tokyo reluctantly agree to the North's term in order to avoid further escalations. Meanwhile, the North continues miniaturizing uranium-based nuclear weapons in underground facilities. 1 year later, they test a more sophisticated warhead design and improved missile payload. The North then demands the end of remaining international sanctions, recognition as a legitimate nuclear weapons state, and a summit meeting in Pyongyang between Kim and Barack Obama. To back up its threat, the North shells several South Korean islands and threatens to use its newly enhanced nuclear capabilities if the South retaliates, the crisis resumes, but with the North more dangerous. That's the first option. Number two is what Washington, Seoul, and South Korea hopes, that Kim's unpredictability finally turns the North's ally, China, firmly against them. Intensifying U.S., Japan, South Korean defense cooperation demonstrates how North Korea's actions are isolating China within the regions. Beijing vows to step up pressure on the regime and stops all inbound North Korean ships and planes for inspections based on the UN Security Council resolutions. When Kim tries to escalate again, Beijing cuts all shipments to the North by 50%. The North agrees to a moratorium on testing of nuclear missiles and nuclear weapons, and to resume earlier negotiations on denuclearization, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Eventually, Kim is forced out, and they reunify the North and the South. That's what Washington, Seoul, and Tokyo would hope. The third case is what everybody fears most, is that Kim escalates. It fails to cause the other powers to recognize the North as a legitimate nuclear weapon state. It doesn't ease a sanction. The young leader and his advisors continue to searching for threats that will terrify the South and cause China to provide further bribes for good behavior, but without provoking a massive U.S. attack on the North. The exuberant yet inexperienced Kim approves live artillery fire on uninhabited mountains just outside of the South Korean capital of Seoul. The South responds with limited counter-battery fire against North Korean artillery units. Aware that it cannot surrender or win, the North Koreans open broader and deadlier artillery and missile broadsides against the South. Knowing that these forward deployed artillery and missile forces pose a greater threat, the U.S. and South Korean forces hammer the North Korean emplacements north of the DNZ. The conflict ends with defeat of the North and decapitation of the North Korean leadership through massive airstrikes, but the damage to South Korea and Japan is appalling. So those are kind of the three options that are laid out by this article on CNN. Now, I tend to think...
Can I ask you a question before you go any further? Who wrote that? Do you know?
It's written by Associate Professor Marco Green, a senior vice president for the Asia and Japan chair at the Center for Strategic and International Studies at Georgetown University.
Okay.
He served as special assistant to the president and senior director for Asia on the National Security Council during George W. Bush's administration.
Yeah. Let me say it like this.
Go ahead.
Those who can, and those who can't, teach.
Okay. So listen, you don't agree with any of his scenarios?
That's a fucking idiot right there.
You think so? Okay.
Really? So let me get this straight. I just want to make sure I understand him clearly here. He has three distinct things that could be that could happen. Three things with all of his knowledge and his insight that could logically be the outcome of this. What? Yeah, because it's worked so well for you up to this point. You know what their satellite's doing up there. You know where Kim Jong-un is, who, by the way, is still missing after 2.5 weeks. Listen.
Do you think he's hiding just to avoid airstrikes?
Who knows?
Maybe. I mean, okay.
Who knows? What airstrikes? I'm just saying who knows. My point is nobody knows.
Okay.
Nobody. Not this jackwagon. He certainly doesn't know. He doesn't know any more than Defense Intelligence Agency does, the CIA or anybody. Nobody has a clue what's going to happen. Nobody.
Okay.
Listen, let's take John Kerry's statements, for example, from this last week. We will not accept or name North Korea as a nuclear state.
Right.
Oh, no. Really? God forbid. You said the same thing about Iran. Let me educate you, John Kerry.
Right.
Mr. We took our ribbons and threw them off a bridge. We attacked Vietnamese villages in a manner reminiscent of Genghis Khan. Oh, God. Really? Shut up, dude. The American people are not stupid. Okay, well, a lot of them are. I got a free phone. But
you're on a roll. You missed the show last week, didn't you?
I am telling you now, dude. Listen, it clearly means nothing to any foreign leader when John Kerry goes on worldwide television and says, we will not recognize North Korea as they detonated a nuke! What part of we detonated a nuke fails in your mind so that you can go on TV worldwide and say, you sound like Baghdad Bob! The Americans are not in Baghdad. Right?
I love you.
Does this guy not have... Now, don't get me wrong. This is not John Kerry. This is Professor, worked for Bush and Cheney.
Sure.
Because clearly Bush and Cheney knew what the hell they were doing. Weapons of mass destruction. The point here is very simple and very clear.
Mm-hmm.
There are many people in this world who would have you believe that with respect to their job title, somehow that qualifies them to know the future. Clearly it does not, right? I don't know how much more honest and realistic to say this. Ban Ki-moon, who's from South Korea.
That's the guy that was the...
and is currently the head of the United Nations. Okay?
Wait, is he still? I thought he was the former head of the UN.
No, he is. He's
he still?
Okay. Head of the United Nations.
I'm a doofus.
Now, this is the brilliance with which the United Nations operates. He goes on TV and does an interview with a reporter from CNN. A guy from India.
Sanjay?
No, that's a doctor.
I don't know. He still does interviews.
No.
Go ahead.
Mr. GPS. His name escapes me for a second here. And he then asks Ban Ki-moon, he says, could you please speak to Kim Jong-un in your native Korean and explain to him, as though he were sitting here in front of you now, what you would like to have happen. And in his infinite wisdom, he then in Korean tells Kim Jong-un, the guy threatening to nuke countries, brother, work with me towards peace and reunification of the Korean Peninsula. Now, maybe it's just me.
Right.
But if I'm Kim Jong-un and you ask me to work with you for reunification of the Korean Peninsula, let's dissect this for 30 seconds, will we?
Yes.
North Korea, 605 internet lines, 13.5 million people, third poorest country on the face of planet Earth. They ain't got squat. I know I sound like a redneck. I'm trying to prove that I'm not stupid. South Korea, one of the richest economies on Earth, right. Technologically very advanced, especially compared to North Korea, and has twice the population of North Korea, as well as the complete ability, with regards to their farming capabilities, to supply food to both North and South Korea.
Okay.
In the event of reunification, can I ask you a question?
Sure.
What do you think is more likely? South Korea's people and parliamentary free democracy rule both? Or in the event of reunification, the South says, gee, we think we'd like to be ruled by a dictator named Kim Jong-un. If you're Kim Jong-un and Ban Ki-moon says this on worldwide television, you're thinking he's saying, give up, turn North Korea back over to the South Koreans, and go away. Do you think that's a plausible thing for North Korea to do? Of course not.
No. Well, no. I mean, no. Okay. Unless they appeal to him in some other way to get him to relieve from power. You know what I mean?
Yeah, you think that's going to...
No,
because that happens frequently with dictators.
No, hold on. Here's my thought, though. Here's my thought.
Uh-huh.
My thought is that, again, he strikes me as a petulant child. Okay,
he's 28.
Yeah,
he's the youngest leader of a country in the world.
Yeah, but I wonder if there's something.
Of course, as he's pointed out, so was Alexander the Great.
Yeah, he is not Alexander the Great. He's too tall.
He's short and fat.
Too tall for one. No, but I wonder if there's something. If there's some other play he's hoping to get out of this, meaning. He's rich enough as it is. He's got enough money as it is. He's clearly not spending any of it on his own people. So theoretically, if they merged and he was allowed to keep millions and millions of dollars of his fortune and go relocate to a nice island off the coast of France in the Mediterranean, his life wouldn't be any different. He'd still have millions and millions and millions of dollars. Maybe that's his end goal, is to just go retire somewhere nice instead of the shithole that he lives in now.
Well,
I mean, you know what I mean? I mean, maybe they put a package deal together, and they say you can go live in exile somewhere else and have a wonderful little island all to yourself, and you get to keep $100 million of North Koreans' money if you just leave now, and maybe they entice him with that.
Right.
I mean, the only other option is we shove a couple Tomahawk missiles up his ass.
Yeah. Hey, Caleb, can you make my computer hot? Caleb's gone.
Caleb's gone, yeah. Casey did it, though.
Poof.
He's our hero.
My computer's hot and sexy.
I don't know if you should ever say that again.
My computer's hot and sexy.
Yeah, I don't think you should ever say it again.
Let me send my my own appeal out here.
Do you hear that? You're getting some weird hum out of your computer now.
My computer's not hot. I don't know what they do.
No, it's hot. I hear it in the background. It's just really quiet. See, it's
wait.
there.
Hold on. Maybe they didn't. Maybe the volume's just turned down here.
I don't know.
Well,
Check your computer.
No,
they did
my
some.
volume's all the way up.
They did some.
Is it down over there, Casey? The volume down? Well, that's better than nothing.
That's Psy? Look at that.
This is Psy's new video.
Also,
his new song.
Casey, would you make sure my laptop is unmuted too, please?
It's called Gentleman. Anyway, clearly he didn't write it about Kim Jong-un. I served for 10 years.
Right.
In the 81st Infantry Brigade. We were directly... we were directly attached to the 2nd Infantry Division,
Right.
which is in North Korea, or which is in Korea, which is in the demilitarized zone.
Okay.
Now, every soldier there knows that in the event of a North Korean attack, they are nothing more than a speed bump.
Uh-huh.
It's unfortunate, but it is the truth. Their only job is to fight what's called a delaying action, which means that they know that they are. Listen, there are 1.3 million people in the North Korean army. 32,000 American troops are not going to do a lot of good against them, no matter what.
Can I ask you a question?
Yeah.
On the news the other day, on NBC Nightly News with what's his name, Brian Williams, they said that the North Koreans were funded or that their military was built by the Russians. Is that true?
In large part.
Now correct me if I'm wrong.
That's their structure. That's their tactics. Those they're all Soviet.
It's Soviet, but I thought Soviet communism and Chinese communism were different, and they didn't get along.
Well, you have the two largest countries with the two largest militaries on Earth sitting side by side.
Right.
Communism is communism. It's no different. Listen, Mexico's a democracy. It doesn't mean we get along with them.
Oh, fair enough. Okay.
Right?
All right.
So,
fair enough. All right.
Again, democracy versus communism. It's a simple, communism is a simple denying of the rights of the individual, or subjugation of the individual rights with regards to the state.
Right.
It is what it is. So the principles are very similar. North Korea is not a communist country. It's a dictatorship.
Okay.
So again, communism, communist values, none of that bears any weight. Listen. Again, North Korea is a dangerous place. We are in a dangerous time. No matter who you listen to, no matter who's on TV, no matter what they have to say about what's going on there, they don't know. Guaranteed, they don't have a clue. And I say that because nobody does. Nobody knows what's going to happen there. And so, and that was part of the captain's point. He was, listen, there's nothing at all transparent about what's going on over there. Nobody knows what's going to happen. And that's the scary part. Not knowing is the scary part. And I just want people to pay attention when you pull up the news in the morning. Just pay attention. Listen, if you live in the West Coast of the United States, it just behooves you to pay attention. Watch what's going on. And again, if you work for CNN, never publish an article that suggests there are 3 scenarios for the outcome of this situation. Because nowhere in there did I hear anything about their biological or chemical weapons being released. Was there anything in there?
No, not that I saw.
No, nothing.
Although, well, in an overview, I guess there really are 3, right? There is. It turns out in a way that's favorable to us, which is eventually he stands down and doesn't get any more powerful.
Let me tell you, you want 3 realistic things that could happen? I'll tell you.
Okay, go ahead.
War, no war, possible or somewhat of a war. Those are your 3 potential outcomes.
You totally should write for CNN.
I'm being honest, and I say this simply because it's, again, nobody can know, and it drives me nuts that they would go out there as a credible news source like CNN would and suggest that. It drives me nuts. Anyway, so let's try to move on to something a little bit more not deadly.
Hey, while you're doing, I want to check my sound card really quick, make sure it's turned up.
Yeah, please do.
They put a new computer over here, so I just want to make sure this is...
Because what I'm going to bring up to you next, I think, is going to really spark some conversation.
Okay, that really is me. Okay. All right.
That really is
so can I tell you what we're going to do? I'm ordering pizza from Domino's, and I'm going to have... they do this cool thing on the order site. So every once in a while, Domino's will update us live on the show what the status of our pizza is. It's really cool. Did you know that they do that?
Your pizza's $35?
No, because I'm getting pizza and I'm getting Mikey a bread bowl and I'm getting him some soda and getting me some chicken wings so I can take him to work tomorrow.
Okay.
So I think I'm ready to place the order. Hold on just a second here. Let's.
All right.
Hold on. Let me place the order really quick before you get this, because it's going to make noise here in a minute. I want you to hear this.
Okay.
No, I do not want to add any Parmesan bread bites. Would you quit adding stuff to this? God, bastards. 253-617-1440. Do you want to bring up another topic? Because we're 2 minutes away from break.
Oh, no, we're going to go to break first, but when we come back from break,
Is this it? Hold on.
And Kevin's done ordering his pizza.
Pick your theme. We want the...
They give you a theme?
Yeah, the theme.
A tracker theme? Really?
Here you go. This is so awesome. And every once in a
that's
while,
cute. I like that.
And
though.
every
That's
once in
kinda
a while, we're going to leave it up. So just leave it up. And every once in a while, you'll hear that come back on, and they'll update what stage your pizza's at.
It's in prep right now.
Yeah, yeah. And then when it's in the oven, they'll come back on and scream and do the whole rocker thing and say it's in the oven.
Okay, you know what? That's kind of cool.
I know. I told you.
I can dig that. I can dig that. That's kind of cool.
I told you.
So
just leave it up during the break too. If it interrupts our non-paying advertisers.
We're going to break here in just a minute. Have you guys heard? Now we've talked a little bit about this in the past over the last couple of years.
Sure.
I have made the call many times. I've talked about the difference or the dangers. Let me put it that way of progressive liberalism.
I love you, but I always feel like you're going to attack me.
No, I'm not. It's not you at all. And the dangers that are associated with and go along with this line of thinking. And thank you very much to Melissa Harris Perry, the producers and directors and staff at MSNBC. Because as much and as hard as I have tried to make the point that this line of thinking and these people at MSNBC, listen, you can point a finger at Fox all you want and say that they lean right. I will say, yes, they do. They do lean to the right. They certainly don't tip the fuck over. But MSNBC, or state-run media as others would like to call them, has done an incredibly good job. See, like that? I'm complimenting them.
Yes, you are.
On telling us, Kevin, you and I, and people
Yes.
like us, exactly where their line of thinking is, what they want to support, what they want to promote, and what they want to advertise. And so when we come back from break, we're going to talk about how MSNBC and one of their particular show hosts have thrown off the shackles, unchained the black show hosts, and they have now allowed us to get a sight into their line of thinking, Kevin. So now, when I point to their progressive liberal viewpoints and how slanted they truly are,
right?
I now have evidence to back it up, because it's not just about what they say during commentary on their show. The network itself is promoting these values and these views through advertising and commercials directed at consumers. And I'm going to let you hear this commercial, and we're going to discuss it. And then the same show hosts come on, and she talks about defending her words in this commercial. We're going to talk about that as well. This is good stuff. This is really good. This is what it's all about. This is how we make inroads and help program liberal progressives. And again, like I said, it's not that my liberal friends are stupid. It's just that they know so much that isn't true.
All right, and then coming up later in the show, too, I got a story coming out of back east. I think it's in Boston, of an illegal immigrant. I believe he was illegal, but he was an immigrant. Illegal. He was drunk driving, hit and killed somebody, and they have ruled that he cannot stand trial because he's incompetent. Not because he's mentally incompetent, but because he can't speak English, so they're not going to try him. It's true. I'll tell you the story after this. Stick around, Outlaw Radio Network.
You're listening to the Outlaw Radio Network. OutlawRadioNetwork.com.
Hey, St. Paul, the voice of reason here.
Your order is in the oven, and it is hot, hot, hot.
All of your concrete needs, they can do pathways, walkways, driveways, you name it. You need a new foundation, you're going to do an add-on, give them a call, 731-9812 or 649-0987. Again, that's 731-9812 or 649-0987. Pacific Northwest Artisans, all of your concrete needs.
As Kitsap County's largest maintenance provider, Team Innovative in Paulsbo provides commercial and residential maintenance to hundreds of millions of dollars of local real estate. With services including parking lot maintenance and street cleaning to landscape and design, Team Innovative is committed to using a green approach and following a strong environmental conscience. Team Innovative Services, 697-6858, or visit them online at getinnovative.net. Team Innovative Services, get serious, get innovative.
Hey, sports fans, if you ever wished there was a live and local all-sports broadcasting network, but wish no more, it's ISPNSports.com. Kitsap's only live and local all-sports, 24-hour broadcasting network, featuring the Kitsap Blue Jackets, Olympic College Rangers, high school athletics, and the ISPN Sports Show every Saturday morning from 10 to noon with interviews from exclusive guests from around the Sound. So, you want sports? Go to ISPNSports.com.
Located 3520 Kitsap Way in Bremerton, Arnold's Home Furnishing has been serving the Kitsap County community since 1951. For nearly 60 years, Arnold's has been here taking care of its customers with excellent customer service and quality merchandise you'll find nowhere else. And visit arnoldshomefurnishing.com to view all the merchandise available and see their current promotions. Arnold's Home Furnishing, to fit every lifestyle and budget.
Hey, it's Kevin with the Outlaw Radio Network. When it came time for the guys with Outlaw Radio to get our tuxes for the Habitat for Humanity of Kitsap County's Raise the Roof event, we honestly had no idea where to get them. Then we found Judy at Judy's Sewing in East Bremerton. As evidenced by the name, Judy's Sewing does tailoring, alterations, and repair. She also does tuxedo rentals starting at $69, bridal party dresses for $69, and bride's dresses starting at only $189. Plus, we also learned that at Judy's Sewing, not only does she offer military members prices that are lower than they're going to find at the Navy Exchange, she also prioritizes their orders. That means if you're in the military, your needs move right to the front of the line. It's a special touch of service you can only get from a locally based business like Judy's Sewing. Judy's Sewing at the corner of Fairgrounds Road in Central Valley in East Bremerton, right near Handy Andy's. Or call Judy at 360-662-1212. 662-1212. Judy's Sewing, a local business that's proud to support her community.
I'm Elaine Terso with Elaine Terso Photography. Let me tell you why I say that I am not your average photographer. At Elaine Terso Photography, I can handle all of your photography needs, including weddings, families, and newborns. I have an in-home studio, or I am able to come to you to take photos wherever you want to be. Mention Guardian Broadcasting when you book, and I will give you a 10% discount. For more information, visit me online at ElaineTersoPhotography.com or find me on Facebook.
All right, it's the Outlaw Radio Network, 253-617-1440.
I'm going to share this right now.
You hear
really
the
quick.
fireworks going off in the background. That's our Domino's tracker. Hey, when the Domino's guy gets here, bring him down. We'll throw him on the air.
It's a good idea,
Especially
actually.
if she's cute.
No, that's a good
I'm
idea.
still looking for a date to the senior prom.
There is a story, and we're going to talk about it on next week's show if I can bring myself to do it. There is a man that's being charged with murder, and his last name is Gosnell. Kermit Gosnell, actually, is his name. He's an abortion doctor.
Mm-hmm.
And he is basically being charged with taking live babies that are born alive and cutting the spinal column to continue or complete the abortion. It's being pointed out that when all is said and done, he will be shown to have been among the worst, if not the worst, mass murderer in U.S. history. And probably the most successful serial killer in the history of the world.
Do we know how many we're talking about?
No.
No.
It's thousands. So, again, it's just... I'm not going to get into it right now because I will get emotional. I will get upset, and I've read some stuff on it. When the grand jury report in the Kermit Gosnell trial was released yesterday, one would think that the media would have, as the primary takeaway, the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania's documentation of the numerous atrocities committed in the House of Horrors. Yet for the Associated Press, the real victims seem to be the Gosnell's employees, those poor folks who had no job prospects other than infanticide. Of the 8 co-workers charged in the aftermath of Gosnell's arrest, 3 have pled guilty to third-degree murder. Nonetheless, they all say that they were just doing what they were instructed to do, simply following orders. Again, to me, it ranks with concentration camp guards under a Nazi regime, and it just does. I don't want to get into it. I don't want to get seriously. This story, And I can't say that this has ever happened to me in my life, Kevin.
Right.
But when I read the story and the details on this story in this case, it had me in tears.
Did it?
It was. I was so emotional about it. Again, everybody that listens to this show knows how anti-abortion I am. This case would seem to be the pinnacle of why abortion is a bad thing. But I literally, right now, today, cannot bring myself to discuss this because it's just so horrific.
Heinous?
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, okay.
So, anyway.
So next week, then?
Hopefully.
Okay.
I don't mean to make light of that, but it's true. Yeah, hopefully.
Okay.
I don't know. We'll see.
Okay. 253-617-1440. Do you have another topic you want to get into, or should I bring this other one up here real quick? The one out of Boston?
You can, and I'll prep this story for after it then.
Okay.
And again, what I'm going to bring up here after Kevin's story is we're going to talk about the MSNBC host. The MSNBC host.
Is that not the coolest thing ever?
It actually is. It's pretty cool.
And they've got like 6 different themes. So
that's
makes
pretty
me
cool.
happy.
We're going to talk about the MSNBC host who has given us a massive amount of insight into their actual thought process, who they are, what they do, and why it's dangerous. So I've got to get the 2 videos ready for that one.
Okay.
So you go ahead and
All right, fair enough. Let me read this really quick. This is out of Boston.
Mhm.
Okay, and I'm just going to read this. This is off of the. This is the link that I found earlier, and I vetted this through a couple of places because I thought there is no way this is true. This has got to be spun. This has got to be wrong. This has got to be bad. This is off of myfoxboston.com. It was posted on April 11th, but let me read this to you. The title: Illegal Immigrant in Milford Death Ruled Incompetent. Okay. I'm going to read this verbatim because not even I could make this crap up.
Oh, you could?
No, I couldn't make this. I would not think that this would be allowed in this country.
Again, what you're about to read, and I want the folks listening at home to understand this, what he's about to read absolutely is expected. Why? Because the idea of progressivism and political correctness have what led us down this road. I have said all along, Kevin has agreed at times, that once you step across that line the first time, you continue further and further and further, and before you know it, you look back and you can't see where you started. This, to me, St. Paul, the voice of reason, is exactly one of those instances. And now, ladies and gentlemen, K-Dog, the loose cannon, will explain to you exactly where, how, and why political correctness is a bad thing.
Here we go. The illegal immigrant who was drunk driving when he hit and dragged a Milford man to his death has been ruled incompetent to stand trial. Judge Janet Kinton Walker says Nicholas Guaman's, quote, unique cultural background, end quote, and language barrier means he doesn't understand the court process. The court also said he lacks the ability to consult with his attorney properly. The George ordered Guaman's attorney to find an interpreter and educate him on the court process. In August 2011, 23-year-old Matthew Denise was hit and dragged to his death while riding a motorcycle. Fox 25 spoke to Maureen Maloney, Matthew's mother, on the phone during the Fox 25 Morning News about the ruling. Maloney says she still believes this is a stall tactic by the defense, but hopes, as the page reloads. Why do they do that? In the middle of reading something and the page reloads all by itself.
Because they're Democrats.
Stop it. But hopes it clears the way for the trial. So eventually they could be tried, but he's incompetent to stand trial now. Quote, my first reaction was devastation. His mother said, I just can't believe that he was found mentally incompetent based on his education level and unique language. However, after being able to think about it overnight, I'm hoping this will close whatever loopholes that the defense is to try to get an appeal or get a retrial if we ever get to a trial. Judge Kinton Walker was appointed in 2009 by Governor Deval Patrick. The case has caused outrage across the nation. Maloney and her family will meet with District Attorney Thursday to talk more about the ruling and the next steps of the case. Now, Maloney had this to say. I'm trying to... Who's Maloney again? Oh, the mother again. Sorry. I think this does give the defense attorney the opportunity to request bail for Guam, and up until now, he's not been eligible for bail. Fox's 25, Melissa Mahan asked Maloney whether she believes Guaman does not understand the court process in the United States because of his legal barrier. She said, no, I don't believe it. In the past, he's had other run-ins with the law. He's been in court multiple times on other charges prior to all this in 2011, and a Spanish interpreter or no interpreter was used for those hearings, and he's always managed just fine. So to just sum this up, they basically ruled that this dude is incompetent for trial because of his, quote, unique cultural background and the fact that he doesn't speak English. So now they are essentially delaying his court so that, one, he can get an education about the legal system, and two, they can work out an interpreter. Now, correct me if I'm wrong, O voice of reason. It's not like he speaks a dead language, okay? So he's not speaking Aramaic, okay? He's not speaking something from the Dead Sea Scrolls. He's not speaking Armenian. He's not speaking something from the middle of nowhere that hardly anybody speaks anymore. The dude is speaking frickin' Spanish. There are Spanish interpreters everywhere. So the prospect of getting a hold of a Spanish interpreter should not be that hard, okay? It shouldn't be a delay tactic. It shouldn't take more time. You should be able to get a goddamn Spanish interpreter to show up in Boston, one of the 10 largest cities in the country. And the prospect that the dude doesn't understand the legal system, that's not an excuse. It's not a reason. I don't care if he understands it or not. So you file charges and you bring him in to plead. What do you plead? Not guilty because I don't understand the goddamn charges. Fine, not guilty. When's your court date? In 90 days. Fine, you got 90 days. Here's a book. Go read it. This isn't rocket science. Were you drunk when you drove? Is that illegal in this country? Did you kill somebody on a motorcycle when you drove and you were drunk? Do you have prior history in this country of breaking the law? Are you an illegal immigrant? Why the hell are you here? I'm totally cool with immigrants coming to the country. I actually don't have a lot of an issue with illegal immigrants in the country. I do in some levels, and some levels I don't. But if this guy had other issues with the law and he's still in the country, how the hell does that happen? If you're illegal and you break the law and you get caught, you shouldn't be here anymore. Like literally, you go do your time, and then when you're done with your time, they put you on a bus and they drive you to the border and they kick your ass out at the border. No free passes. Nothing. And I don't want to hear any more of this crap about how, it costs money to get him down there. And what about his rights? Dude doesn't have any rights. You're not protected by the Constitution if you're not here legally. You're not an American citizen. You don't have a green card. You're not protected. You shouldn't be here. You don't have any rights. Richard Reed, the shoe bomber dude, was not an American citizen. Flew on a plane. Tried to blow the plane up. Dude didn't have any rights. Illegal immigrants in this country are not bound by the rights in the Constitution. They shouldn't be here. Now, I'm cool if you get here, and I'm cool if you're here being productive, and I'm cool if you're not causing problems, and I'm cool if you're trying to support your family, and you came from a poor nation, and you're trying to get a better life for yourself. I'm cool with that. Because all of you, not all of you, most of you listening to this show have ancestors that did just that. No, not me, because I'm Native American. I was here first. The rest of you are visitors to my country. That's a joke, actually. But the point is, I don't have an issue with that. But when you show up and you break the law, you're an illegal immigrant. You've now cashed your check. I can't go to Paul's house, okay, and piss on the drapes.
You pissed on my drapes?
And think that Paul's going to let me come to his house again.
You didn't even come to my wife's birthday party this weekend.
I had to work. But am I right, though? Like, yeah. I wouldn't come to your house and drop trowel and take a crap on your couch.
No, you wouldn't do that.
And then
my wife would beat you up.
But if I did that, would you ever let me come to your house again?
That would depend.
On?
How much money and food you brought with you.
Well, that's true. Okay. You're easily paid off. Mm-hmm. But the point is...
I'm a Republican. It's
the
all
point
about
is,
the money.
you can't go into somebody else's place, break the rules, and then think that they're going to let you come back. Let alone coming into somebody else's place and break the rules repeatedly and think you've got a welcome stamp to stick around. So that'd be like I go to Paul's house, I take a crap on his couch, Paul scolds me and then kicks me out and then lets me hang out in his yard for a couple days. How does that make any sense? Now, there's this big groundswell going on that's being debated in D.C., and CNN released a poll because CNN is leftly slanted. But the poll actually says that 60-something% of Americans are in favor of just a general amnesty program. That's what CNN's numbers were. A majority of Americans are in favor of amnesty. If they're here, let them stay here. Now, before you conservatives get all up in arms, Reagan did the exact same thing in the 80s. Okay? I don't know how that makes any sense. I don't know how it washes. You can't give general amnesty. Okay? You find the ones that aren't breaking the law, you work with them to give them a path. You find the ones that have broke the law, and you send their asses back to wherever they came from. This dude literally should get maxed out. I don't care if he understands the process, because he understood how to order a beer and he understood how to drive a car.
Hey, that sounds like your pizza.
I think Trojo's here. And he understood how to kill somebody.
I say that sounds like the pizza, and you point to the black man. That's nice.
No, I just telling you the noise you heard was somebody come down the stairs.
Okay.
And he killed somebody. So you try him.
Yeah.
Seriously, you try him. I don't want to hear about his unique language and cultural differences.
Right.
Is the pizza guy here? Do you need my card?
No, didn't you enter it on the website?
Well, yeah, but I think they need to see it. Okay, here, I'll give you my ID and my card, Mikey Malone. If she's cute, make her come on the air, though. I really need to hook up with a pizza girl because if we can get free pizza on the show. Do you disagree with anything I'm saying? And I know I'm on the left, and the left is a lot more lenient on the whole illegal immigration thing and all of that. And
Lenient?
I get that.
Y'all are trying to recruit them for voters.
Well, it's a smart tactic. It's a smart tactic.
You're right. I don't disagree with that.
It's a smart tactic if you're on the left and you understand that's part of your base.
I don't disagree with you. You are correct on that, Kevin.
Isn't it funny that the Republicans are the ones that freed the slaves and yet blacks vote Democrat? Isn't that funny?
Well, funny, yes.
Isn't that funny? I meant
not
funny,
so
ironic.
Funny, really though.
Funny, ironic. Funny,
Yeah.
not funny,
Funny,
haha.
ironic.
Funny, ironic. Okay. But anyway, that's just the story is amazing.
Listen, first of all, not all former slaves are idiots. I mean, look at Trojo over there. He will tell you.
Here he comes. Here he comes.
Hey! There's
but
a
anyway,
camera on.
it's for me. It's appalling. For me, it's insulting. We've gone from.
Good to see you too, Tro.
We've gone from this place where we're like, oh, okay, well, fine. We're gonna give them a pass to be here, and I don't have an issue with the pass to be here. Okay, because if I was in Mexico with a family that I'm trying to support, with the violence and the poverty and the issues in Mexico, I would get the hell out of Mexico. Okay? And if you're a self-respected American and you have a desire to make your life better and a family to support and you want your family to do better, you're going to get your family the hell out of Mexico too. Okay? That's just that. Where's the pizza? You would get your
pizza delivery person.
You would get your family.
Refused to come down.
you would get your family the hell out of Mexico. So I don't fault them for that. And Paul, you shouldn't either, and the Republicans shouldn't either, because the Republicans want to better themselves. They want a better country. They want their families better. That's all the people that are coming illegally from Mexico want. From these third world nations. They don't have the money to pay for someone to get them here and to fight to get them a visa, so they're going to get here and do it themselves. God bless them for doing it. But at some point, you break the law. At some point, you drive drunk. At some point, you're involved in gang violence or drugs or burglary or prostitution or pimping or whatever. Guess what? That's your chance. That's your chance. You have now cashed out your goodwill. Go the F home. And I'm sorry if your baby mama now has to go back with you because you pissed away your one chance to provide a better life because you got here and took the cheap way. We don't get to take the cheap way. We're going to go to jail. And then our felony convictions, if we get one, are going to follow us around for the rest of our lives. So cool. Nifty. Congratulations. Knock yourselves out. But then you go home. So that's just I just every time I read this, it pisses me off because it doesn't make any sense. And now they're going to delay this process out. It's going to cost far more money, and it's going to take forever.
Well, that's it too, right there. That's the bottom line,
Yeah.
brother.
So that's just that. That's all I've got. We got about 7 minutes till the top of the hour. Do you want to bring this up now, or do you want to wait till the top of the hour and bring it up?
We can.
You want to wait because I have another topic we can bring up and talk about for 7 minutes if you want to. It's up to you.
we can wait. Listen, I you're not much into the series and stuff, but listen again. I just watched the finale of Spartacus.
Yeah.
Amazing, awesome. And then Starz has followed it up with a new series all about Leonardo da Vinci. I just watched the first episode of that the other night. That was really cool. Really kept me entertained. So I was digging that. I am trying really hard to make sure I get this stuff. Yay!
How smart are you? Can you pull that off?
I don't know why this is all of a sudden giving me such a hard time. Everything was working just fine. And now I got this big blank white page. Let me just... Okay. And now I can't find it! There is a series on TV that's just started its third season, and it's on HBO. And it's called The Game of Thrones. Have you heard of it?
Right. I have heard of it. I know it's really popular. I've just never seen it.
Oh, God, it is a good series. Anyway, many times on this show, we have talked about, Hollywood figures that we find attractive, and we do a top 10 list or a top 5 list or whatever.
We have, yeah. Who do you have a new person to put on your top list?
I totally have a new person.
Who's your person?
And I have to get her actual name. Again, the page disappeared. So I'm going to pull it up here.
Who are you going to put on here?
Here we go.
Oh, I can't even pronounce her name.
Oh, here she is. Let me pull up the images of her for you.
Really?
So that
She's not that attractive.
Well, you know
what?
Not
Not from those pictures. I'll give you another
Christ,
chance here.
Margaret.
Why don't you send the link to Strip? Have Strip put it up in the...
Strip knows exactly what I'm talking about. Daenerys Stormborn, or Daenerys Targaryen, who's in the series, her character, she's just...
Yeah.
Oh, she's
Strip, can you put pictures of her in the room? This doesn't work very well if people can't
And I'm trying...
see it.
Of who? He knows. We're getting there. We're getting there. Daenerys Targaryen. Daenerys Stormborn.
Strip, are you paying attention? Somebody said that theirs did the same thing that mine just did.
Yeah, refresh.
Yeah.
I can't solve everybody's problems. So, I can't help people with their own.
When you tested it, did you test it with Chrome or did you test it with IE?
It works with both.
Okay. All right.
But once again, there's 100,000 systems out there, and we can only do so much. So.
I know. All right.
Here's her picture. I'm going to pull that one up. That's a better picture.
All right. Are you putting pictures of her, Strip, in the room?
He's going to try. He's trying.
I'm trying to search it. You interrupted my search. And now I forgot her name again.
Daenerys Stormborn. Or Daenerys Targaryen.
She's, not that.
I can't help people with their own.
When you tested it, did you test it with hold on. That's my fault. Let me fix this.
Oh, you're killing it.
Well, I refreshed the page because mine's airing out too. Yeah, not that attractive. I don't know. I'm not a big pouty blonde guy. Just not.
Well, she's not a blonde. She's a brunette, but her hair is dyed like whitish, just straight up white.
Right.
Kind of for her
Because of
character.
the show?
She's called the Mother of Dragons on the show. She walked into fire and she had these 3 dragon eggs, and dragons were extinct.
Right.
But the fire, not only did she survive the fire unscathed, but then the dragon eggs hatched. It was anyway, long story short, it was just really cool. Sunday night's the new episode on HBO, and
that would be tonight.
Tonight, yeah.
Yeah, DVR it. Watch it after the show.
Well, I do. I'm not watching it
no,
during the show.
I'm telling the listeners, watch it after the show.
Anyway, I'm definitely adding her to my top 10. Just got to do it.
Really?
Gotta do it. Well, because we only had a couple minutes left, and
to your top 10.
Yeah, definitely.
All right.
I don't know about Caleb over there. He may not feel the same, but and that's fine. That's fine. But I just find her. She's hot.
I don't. Your choice in women is just not.
That's what she looks like. That's not bad. Huh? What?
It's
now
not. It's not impressive either.
She's dressed in medieval clothing, douchebag.
I want anything in medieval clothing. You could dress up a buffalo in medieval clothing, and you'd be attracted to it. I mean, you see medieval clothing and you're like, oh, that's hot. It could be me in medieval clothing and you'd be that's hot.
You
Stop
think
it.
so, huh?
Yes.
Boy, you got issues.
Yes, stop it.
Look at your screen.
Oh, yeah. See, there you go.
Who's that?
That's her.
Okay, well, she's
Amelia Clark.
her.
That's her
okay,
name.
she's much cuter with dark hair than the blonde hair. I'll give you that. But I'm more of a darker hair kind of guy anyway. I'm the whole blonde thing is overrated.
You can look her up. Amelia, Emelia, Amelia Clark.
And K-Dog, take a look at your screen again. See? There you go. That's why Paul likes her.
All right.
What did that clip say? Just add what?
Just add Broadway.
Broadway. I do not understand the meaning.
All right, really quick. I'm going to read this too before we go to break.
Yeah,
this
let's
is
do that.
one other story I'll touch on really quick. And again, we're not going to argue about this. Did you see the one that I posted in our chat room that said Paul commenced to crap in a brick right now?
Read this little note that the kid wrote in school.
This is outstanding. I'm going to read this to you. This is off of the Blaze. I was reading the Blaze. Are you amazed? I do research for the show. Shut your mouth.
You didn't do research. Somebody sent you the link.
No, nobody sent me the link. I actually found this on my own. This is off of the Blaze from April 12th. The school district, by the way, has said a review and investigation will occur. The words are written in crayon in the haphazard bumpiness of a child's scrawl. Quote, I am willing to give up some of my constitutional rights in order to be safer or more secure. They're the words that a Florida father, Aaron Harvey, was stunned to find that his fourth grade son had written after a lesson in school about the Constitution. Harvey's son attends Cedar Hills Elementary in Jacksonville, Florida. Back in January, a local attorney came in to teach the students about the Bill of Rights. But after the attorney left, fourth grade teacher Cheryl Saab, whatever, dictated the sentence to part of the class and had them copy it down. The paper sat unnoticed in Harvey's son's backpack for several months until last week when his son's mother almost threw it away. The words caught her eye in the trash. She showed it to Harvey, who said he was at a loss for words. He asked his son, who said Saab had spoken the sentence out loud and told him to write it down. Harvey said he asked some of his son's classmates and got a similar answer. Quote, everybody has their opinions, Harvey told the Blaze. I'm strongly for proper education, for the freedom of thought so you can form your own opinion and have your own free speech in the future. But the education is, quote, when the Constitution drafted, when it was ratified, why did this happen? Why do we choose to do all this? All of these things. Why do they particularly choose those specific rights to be our Bill of Rights? Kendra Audrey, spokeswoman for the Duval County Public Schools, which includes Cedar Hills, told the Blaze she didn't know what prompted Saab to have students write the sentence. She said the principal had fielded one parent's concern about the lesson in January, but it wasn't Harvey. She said Thursday the district and principal were checking into what happened. So basically a teacher, according to the father, basically said, kids, here's your sentence. Write the sentence down. Repeat after me. Write it down. I am willing to give up some of my constitutional rights in order to be safer or more secure. This would back up your assertion, Paul, that the left are brainwashing the children from an early age.
Listen, I know you make fun of it and you joke about it.
No, I'm agreeing with you on this one.
It's true.
Out of line. That's why I said, Paul, commence to shit in a brick right now.
I will tell you this, and I'm going to go on the record about this. I have a meeting on Tuesday with my son's principal.
Do you really?
Because I'm really upset. I'm really upset with my son's teacher. He literally said to me, my time is too valuable because I have to do so much more with so much less that I only have time now to help the children that want to help themselves.
Right. Really?
Really.
That's outstanding.
And, I basically looked at him and I said, well, I'm your employer. And, you work for me. And as such, I just think you should be made aware that under the current economic climate and situation in this country, everybody's having to do more with less. You're no different. And as such, you are paid to educate my child, whether you think it's a little too tough or not.
That's outstanding. Let us know how that goes next week. I want to hear how that goes. That'll be outstanding.
I absolutely will.
You should get him to be a guest on the show.
Him?
Yeah.
Oh, he's a hardcore leftist.
That's outstanding.
Yeah, he's made that abundantly clear to me. He does not like me or the show.
All right, we'll take a break. When we come back, we're going to switch gears. What's next?
MSNBC and their level of indoctrination and proof, undeniable proof, that they are trying to indoctrinate into Marxist.
Back after this, Outlaw Radio Network.
You're listening to the Outlaw Radio Network. OutlawRadioNetwork.com.
From NPR News in Washington, I'm Barbara Klein. North Korea is rejecting South Korea's offer for dialogue as the North celebrates the birth of its founding leader. And as Jason Struther reports from Seoul, there's still speculation Pyongyang could soon test-fire a missile.
North Korea calls the offer for talks a, quote, cunning ploy. Pyongyang has all but shut down a factory complex jointly run with the South, and observers say the regime has readied at least 2 medium-range missiles on its east coast. Monday is perhaps the most important day on the North Korean calendar. It celebrates the 101st birthday of the late founding ruler Kim Il-sung, the grandfather of current leader Kim Jong-un. The North has in the past conducted rocket launches around this anniversary. Speaking in Tokyo, Secretary of State John Kerry says Washington is ready to reach out to North Korea, but first wants Pyongyang to take steps to end its nuclear weapons program. For NPR News, I'm Jason Struther in Seoul.
Voters in Venezuela cast ballots today to elect a new president. From Caracas, NPR's Juan Ferrero reports the winning candidate is expected to be the one hand-picked by President Hugo Chavez.
The voting took place just 6 weeks after Chavez died. The race pitted Chavez's vice president and now interim president, Nicolás Maduro, against Enrique Capriles. He's a 40-year-old upstart lawyer who had run and lost against Chavez last year. Political analysts said he has little chance of winning. Maduro benefits from the potent sympathy vote, and the state's well-worn electoral machine means that Maduro enjoyed constant positive coverage on a vast state media apparatus. He also had the petrodollars to run the kind of campaign that's difficult for the opposition to afford. Juan Ferrero, NPR News, Caracas.
The death toll in China from a new strain of bird flu has climbed to 13. The official Chinese news agency today reports 2 more deaths and 11 new cases of H7N9, bringing the total number of cases of the virus to 60. The World Health Organization's Michael O'Leary says it's likely more cases will be reported.
Awareness is now very high. The medical community is keeping a very close watch for cases, and this means that any suspected ones will be thoroughly investigated, and we can expect more.
Health officials continue to say the virus is spreading through direct contact with infected birds, not among people. The Senate is expected to take up 2 major pieces of legislation this week. A bipartisan bill that would expand background checks for gun buyers is expected to come up for a vote in the Senate. Most conservative Republicans oppose the proposal, and sponsors say the outcome at this point is too close to call. And a proposed immigration bill will be introduced as well. Senator Marco Rubio says it won't offer amnesty to those who've entered the U.S. illegally, but they'll eventually be able to seek citizenship. This is NPR News. Israel says it will not conduct a criminal investigation into an airstrike in Gaza last November that killed a Palestinian family of 10 and 2 other civilians. The Israeli military released a report today concluding the attack was justified because it was aimed at terrorists responsible for launching rockets into Israel. A Palestinian human rights group calls the attack a war crime. French police are involved in an all-out search for a convicted thief who broke out of jail over the weekend. As NPR's Eleanor Beardsley reports from Paris, the escape was brazen and violent.
Redouane Faïd, one of France's most dangerous gangsters, escaped from a high-security prison near the northern city of Lille using explosives and taking several wardens hostage. He is suspected of being the mastermind of a 2010 armed robbery that caused the death of a young policewoman. Wardens' unions described the prison break as an act of war. Faïd co-authored 2 books about his delinquent youth and rise as a criminal in Paris's impoverished suburbs. He said his life of crime was inspired by American films such as Scarface and Heat. Faïd once told a TV channel that movies were like a user's guide for armed robbery. Belgian police have also joined the hunt for Faïd since his prison was 20 miles from the French-Belgian border. Eleanor Beardsley, NPR News, Paris.
The day before taxes are due, a study by the Independent National Taxpayer Advocate says 5 areas of the country have the highest concentrations of potential tax cheats, and the IRS targets them for audits. They are Los Angeles, San Francisco, Houston, Atlanta, and the Washington, D.C. area. I'm Barbara Klein, NPR News in Washington.
Hey, St. Paul, the voice of reason here. Wanted to send a quick shout out to our friends at Pacific Northwest Artisans. They're a custom concrete and design fabrication company. They can do all of your concrete needs. They can do pathways, walkways, driveways, you name it. You need a new foundation, you're going to do an add-on, give them a call, 731-9812 or 649-0987. Again, that's 731-9812 or 649-0987. Pacific Northwest Artisans, all of your concrete needs.
As Kitsap County's largest maintenance provider, Team Innovative in Paulsbo provides commercial and residential maintenance to hundreds of millions of dollars of local real estate. With services including parking lot maintenance and street cleaning to landscape and design, Team Innovative is committed to using a green approach and following a strong environmental conscience. Team Innovative Services, 697-6858, or visit them online at getinnovative.net. Team Innovative Services, get serious, get innovative.
Hey, sports fans, if you ever wished there was a live and local all-sports broadcasting network, but wish no more, it's ISPNsports.com. Kitsap's only live and local all-sports 24-hour broadcasting network, featuring the Kitsap Blue Jackets, the Olympic College Rangers, high school athletics, and the ISPN Sports Show every Saturday morning from 10 to noon with interviews from exclusive guests from around the Sound. So, you want sports? Go to ISPNsports.com.
Located 3520 Kitsap Way in Bremerton, Arnold's Home Furnishing has been serving the Kitsap County community since 1951. For nearly 60 years, Arnold's has been here taking care of its customers with excellent customer service and quality merchandise you'll find nowhere else. And visit arnoldshomefurnishing.com to view all the merchandise available and see their current promotions. Arnold's Home Furnishing, to fit every lifestyle and budget.
Hey, it's Kevin with the Outlaw Radio Network. When it came time for the guys with Outlaw Radio to get our tuxes for the Habitat for Humanity of Kitsap County's Raise the Roof event, we honestly had no idea where to get them. Then we found Judy at Judy's Sewing in East Bremerton. As evidenced by the name, Judy's Sewing does tailoring, alterations, and repair. She also does tuxedo rentals starting at $69, bridal party dresses for $69, and bride's dresses starting at only $189. Plus, we also learned that at Judy's Sewing, not only does she offer military members prices that are lower than they're going to find at the Navy Exchange, she also prioritizes their orders. That means if you're in the military, your needs move right to the front of the line. It's a special touch of service you can only get from a locally based business like Judy's Sewing. Judy's Sewing at the corner of Fairgrounds Road in Central Valley in East Bremerton, right near Handy Andy's. Or call Judy at 360-662-1212. 662-1212. Judy's Sewing, a local business that's proud to support her community.
I'm Elaine Terso with Elaine Terso Photography. Let me tell you why I say that I am not your average photographer. At Elaine Terso Photography, I can handle all of your photography needs, including weddings, families, and newborns. I have an in-home studio, or I am able to come to you to take photos wherever you want to be. Mention Guardian Broadcasting when you book, and I will give you a 10% discount. For more information, visit me online at ElaineTersoPhotography.com or find me on Facebook.
All right, it's the Outlaw Radio Network at 253-617-1440, going into hour number 3. The final hour of this show, the last call, coming up at 10 o'clock.
That's where we get into all the social issues and the personal issues, and it's kind of like Howard Stern meets Real Men. And,
yeah, exactly.
And you know, we have an opportunity to, well, frankly, be real.
Exactly.
I mean, that's the best way to put it.
Can I tell you what one of
But
the topics
it'll be the
in the fourth
last
hour?
call. Yeah, go ahead.
And if Susan, who hosts the Raw Nerve, is listening, this is inspired by something that she actually talked about on her Facebook page, which is why it's getting brought up on the show tonight.
Mm-hmm.
But she talked about how, and I can't find the post, and I'll look for it some more. But the basic premise of the post is that she has a friend whose husband was upset with her or something about her letting herself go, and we're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about the theory of men being upset because women letting themselves go and men letting themselves go and all of that whole thing. We're going to talk about that a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
We're also going to talk about, I think it'll be a very quick conversation, but the Masters was today. Not one by Tiger, by the way. By the way, the funny post on the front of the New York Post, the funny front page, I think it was the New York Post today, because Tiger got a two-stroke penalty yesterday because he put he dropped his ball in the wrong spot. So on the front page of the New York Post today, it says Tiger gets penalty for or Tiger puts his balls in the wrong place again, or something like that.
Oh my God!
And that's what it said on the front page of the New York Post, or one of those. Anyway, they're catching a lot of heat for that. But anyway, they on ESPN they had a list of the last 20 years of what they have at the Masters dinner. The Masters dinner, I think, is the night before the Masters, and the winner of the previous year's Masters gets to pick the menu. And they pick the actual menu of what they're going to have for dinner, and that's what everybody eats. And about 17 or 18 years ago, one of the guys picked haggis, okay, which is the grossest stuff. Paul, can you tell people what's in haggis?
Stuffed sheep's intestine.
Yeah. It's got some liver, some heart, some other stuff in it. It just sounds gross.
Have you ever tried haggis?
It's got oatmeal in it. Anyway.
Have you ever tried?
No. God,
haggis
no.
is good.
I hate liver. I hate heart.
You should try.
Screw it. No. Anyway, so I was just thinking that tonight we're going to answer the question: if we had won the Masters, what would we put on our menu? I think that'd just be just kind of a curious, cute little
short conversation.
Yeah. And then the other question that we're going to answer in the fourth hour is why women are opposed to cuddling, and that's actually a conversation that Mikey brought up. So we'll talk.
Yeah,
about that
I
as
saw
well.
him post that on his Facebook
We're going
page.
to talk about that in the fourth hour.
Yeah, Mike, we need to talk about that. Yeah, it's okay, Mike. I'm not busting your nuts or nothing, but I ain't
All right, here we
freaking
go.
cuddling with you either. So I will get to my topic here in just a second. As you can see, I'm having some issues here.
That's all right.
As I'm trying to pull it up, you got let's do this. Can you pull up YouTube on yours?
I can pull up YouTube
All
on
right,
mine.
pull up
yeah.
YouTube on yours.
YouTube.
And if you're listening here, you can follow along. I'm not going to ask Caleb to play this video because there's nothing to the video. The entire thing is in the 30-second audio clip. And
It's loading.
okay, you got YouTube up there, bud?
Yeah, our internet's running slow here really quick out of nowhere, so we'll take a second to bring it up, so just give it a minute.
I may actually have to reset my computer.
Really?
Look,
What'd you
wait.
do?
Nope, there we go. Okay.
What did you do? Are you breaking
Well,
stuff?
no, everything was just not responding,
Right.
And so I was trying to just slowly shut stuff off, and nothing was shutting off. So.
All right, so what are we looking for here?
Okay, you're going to type in Melissa Harris Perry.
Oh, this one, yeah.
Yep. Because Kevin, I'm going to ask you for your comments. I'm going to ask you to respond.
And what am I putting in here after Melissa Harris Perry?
Melissa Harris Perry. Just go ahead and do the search under that, and under parameters set for this week.
Yeah, hold on. It just froze. Oh, there we go.
When does that new show Defiance, by the way, start on Sci-Fi Channel?
I have no idea. Tonight.
Monday?
Tomorrow night.
Tomorrow night?
Okay. Now, under Melissa Harris Perry on YouTube, Kevin, I want you to go down and set your parameters to this week.
How do you set parameters? I don't even know how to do that.
Go up. Go back.
I'll go up. Yeah, go up.
Hold on, go down a little bit. Hold on. Right. No, wait. Right here.
This one here?
31-second clip, yeah. Now, MSNBC takes their show host, and they run commercial ad spots. These are spots that are paid for and promoted by the network, which means the network endorses their message as a representation of what the network believes. Now, let's go ahead and turn this up.
Is this a representation of what the network believes, or are they using this to push her show as what
Both.
she believes on her show?
Both.
Okay. Both? Okay,
Both.
fair enough.
Listen, you don't see a guy go on Fox News, for example, and do a commercial where he's pro-abortion for Fox News.
Sure.
Right? Because if you did, you'd be like, whoa, dude, no. Fox News says, no, we don't believe in that. We don't represent that. Our viewers don't like that and don't represent that, so we're not going to do that. Well, we have the opposite here on MSNBC. We have a commercial done by a show host who goes on a limb and speaks her case, her peace of mind, because this is what she feels, this is what she believes, and the network now listen, for those of you who don't understand how the networks work, they don't run anything without lots of people sitting down in a little room and discussing it. The ramifications and the pros and cons.
Right.
Which means somebody wrote this, somebody recorded it, somebody edited it, and somebody put it on the network and is promoting it. Now, go ahead and play the commercial, Kevin. This is Melissa Harris Perry off the MHP show on MSNBC on Saturday and Sunday mornings.
We have never invested as much in public education as we should have because we've always had kind of a private notion of children. Your kid is yours and totally your responsibility. We haven't had a very collective notion of these are our children. So part of it is we have to break through our kind of private idea that kids belong to their parents or kids belong to their families and recognize that kids belong to whole communities. Once it's everybody's responsibility and not just the households, then we start making better investments.
Now, what did you take from that, Kevin?
That she basically thinks that we need to invest more in education, that everybody in the community should care about the education our kids are getting.
Okay, now let's get back to the reality
No,
behind
that's,
that commercial.
no, don't mock me.
I'm
I
not-
believe
I'm
that's
not
what she
mocking
was
you.
trying to say.
That you think that's what she was trying to
That's
say?
what I think, yeah.
Yeah? Well, then...
I could be wrong, but that's what I think she was trying to get out of it. Because, again, she's speaking about the education. So I think what she's trying to do is get to the people who say, well, I don't have any kids in school. Why would I vote to approve the levy when I don't have any kids in the school? So she's basically saying, listen, the entire community needs to come together to help educate these children and to put together the money that's needed to properly educate our kids. That's what I think she's trying to get to.
Okay. Now,
I know you don't agree with me.
Well, no, it's not whether I agree, but you're just expressing,
what I took out of it, yeah.
Yeah, what you thought she was talking about. Now, I just simply ask that you give me the opportunity to
Sure.
enlighten you. And actually, here, let me, hold on a second. Carrie, for just a second.
Mm-hmm.
I got to pull this up here. I want to make sure that I am giving the correct quote. Boy, this is a painfully slow system here.
Yeah,
All right.
no, I think it's the
I think
internet.
it's tonight.
I think the internet is acting up.
Well,
down here.
yesterday there was a major solar flare, and I noticed there have been some issues with the cable. Cable's been
Right.
pixelating a lot for the last 2 days.
Well, I hate to tell you this too, but this is Comcast, who's not.
No, I have Wave, so. but
I'm
they
in
are
here at the
Comcast
studio.
here.
It's Comcast here at the studio. So
Yeah. Okay. So now, since then, she's gone on a couple of other MSNBC shows because it's important to make sure that when you're preaching to the choir.
To the choir, yeah.
And to explain yourself because she's come under a lot of fire for that. Let me read you this article. MSNBC's Melissa Harris Perry on Saturday strongly reaffirmed her sentiment behind her recent promotional ad for the network in which she declared that children are part of the collective. Addressing the outcry on her show Saturday morning, Harris Perry said it would be too easy to simply dismiss that some people are just haters. In the ad, Harris Perry said that, quote, we have to break through our kind of private idea. Okay, you following this, Kevin?
Sure, yeah.
I want to make sure that as I'm quoting this,
I'm paying attention.
you're following.
I'm with this. I can understand.
We have to break through our kind of private idea.
Mhm.
That's your idea.
Yeah.
And I'm going to put this in your context, Kevin.
In my context.
Yep.
Oh, good.
Our kind of private idea that kids belong to their parents or kids belong to their families and recognize that kids belong to whole communities. I can see that some people are genuinely upset about what I actually said, she said. She added, I stand by that statement. Families have first and primary responsibility for their children. The private sphere of our homes and families deserves great deference in policy and in practice. But I believe our children are not our private property. They are not just extensions of ourselves. They are independent individual beings. Harris Perry, who's auctioning off the sweater she wore in the spot for charity, said, the ad isn't about me wanting to take your kids, and this isn't even about whether children are property. This is about whether we as a society, expressing our collective will through our public institutions, including our government, have a right to impinge on individual freedoms in order to advance a common good. And that is exactly the fight that we have been having for a couple hundred years, she said. She said a budget debate, after all, is a conversation about finding the balance between rights and responsibilities, private earnings and public investments. Quote, our kids, who will inherit our nation, belong to all of us, and we have a collective responsibility to them. I hit a nerve with a 30-second promotional ad, and the nerve that I hit is connected to the central nervous system of our democracy. At the synapses of civic engagement, is this electrical current that forges our more perfect union. What the hell is she talking about? Okay.
Can I tell you what I think she's saying?
Sure.
Now, I could be wrong, and I will say this, that it's one of the things I hate about the left is that rather than just summing it up in normal words, they try to overspeak it and try to over-explain it and try to make it sound a lot cooler than it really is.
So what you're saying is when she says I hit a nerve, and the nerve I hit is connected to the central nervous system of our democracy, at the synapses of civil engagement, and it's the electrical current that forges our more perfect union.
Yeah,
that she's overdoing it.
Yeah, really, it's just. Listen, Melissa Harris Perry clearly thinks that she's the ish. You know, she thinks that she can just ramble on, and people are actually going to care what she has to say, and the people on MSNBC probably do, and nobody else will. This is perfect for her because it's going to get her some press. Get her some time with the camera, build up some credibility for a show that doesn't have any. Congratulations, knock yourself out. What I think she's saying is the same thing Hillary Clinton said in the 90s. It takes a village. You know, it takes a village to raise a kid. It takes a village to pay for the education. It takes a village to provide safe streets. It's kind of the same theory. She's just phrasing it in a way that seems elitist and snobbish and prickish and douchebaggish and really comes off as I'm going to tell you how to raise your kids. I think the gist of it comes down to we as a community are responsible for bringing our kids through the educational system and ready to be out in the world.
You ever watch Star Trek?
The original one?
No, The Next Generation was in the 90s.
Yeah, she sounded like the Borg. You're right. And
That's
some
right.
Of the,
Now
the collective process and all that.
Now, I'm figuring that you're going to disagree with me on this, but that's okay. And I'm not saying that you're
No,
wrong.
I'm
for
not
disagreeing.
supposed to assume what you're going to think, but you're okay to assume mine. Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, actually.
Okay, just making sure we're on the same page.
Anybody who's ever studied Marxism understands the problem with what she's saying. Her point is, and I'm going to quote her again here, okay, where she says, we have to break through our kind of private ideal, or private idea, that kids belong to their parents, okay?
Right.
To their families, or to their families, and recognize that kids belong to whole communities. First of all, that with regards to a nation that has inherent freedoms guaranteed to its citizens within the Bill of Rights and the Constitution, that is inherently wrong. It's just flat out wrong. And she goes on to state, I'm not trying to say you don't own your kids. Nobody's saying that. That's not what anybody's complaining about. What she's doing is she is deflecting because she understands that people got what she was saying. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
So her verbiage, her words mattered to a lot of people. Melissa Harris Perry averages 350,000 viewers on her show on Saturday mornings. The video of this commercial was at 750,000.
Right.
Okay? So whether
but
you
let me ask you a question though. Isn't that your fault? I don't mean you, but I mean the conservatives, because isn't most of the press of this commercial getting passed around from conservatives that are going,
absolutely,
oh my God, can you believe
it's all
what this
conservative.
witch just said?
It's all conservatives. Yes.
You know what I mean, though? I mean, isn't this...
That's not the problem. I mean, that's not an issue.
But what I'm asking, though, isn't this exactly what she wants? I mean,
it doesn't matter.
On this show, if we said something completely outrageous, if we said...
Yes, I'm about to give you an example.
Okay, go ahead.
It would be like us bringing in a person to have their own show here, okay? Who has their head shaved and has swastikas tattooed on themselves, okay? And they do the show, and after doing the show for a few months, in the middle of a show, they break down and say, you know, I hate Jews and I hate black people, and I hope they all swing from a tree.
Right.
Okay? What that person would have just done would have just exposed their innermost self to the listening audience. They would have admitted to everybody how they think and what they think, right? Sure. That's what Melissa Harris Perry did. She exposed herself, and the network has exposed itself by paying for and running this advertisement. What they've done is they've given people a glimpse into their thought process. Now, you have kids?
Sure. Mm-hmm.
Jeremy here has just had his first. Now, I want to ask, and Jeremy, Can we make sure that Jeremy's mic is hot here, because I'd like to get. Yeah,
Well,
it's not on.
Mikey Mullins
We'll let
taking care
Mikey
of it.
turn it on here for you in a second after I ask this question, because I want to ask you guys what you think as parents. If I walk into your house and I tell you, I'm not hearing him.
He's not on yet. Mikey's trying to figure out which switch it is.
And I say to you, hey, how many kids you got, Kevin?
How many kids do I have?
How many do you have?
Too many to name.
Okay. Just want you to know, and I don't want you to get offended when I say this, but you need to get past your ideas and your values that you get to make decisions for those children. You don't. Those children belong to the state. You're just their caregiver. Wouldn't make
Okay.
you too happy, would it?
No.
No, it wouldn't. Because you feel that you have the right to make the decisions on those kids, and you get to determine how those children are raised, with what values, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Jeremy, how do you feel about that? How do you feel about somebody telling you that you need to get past your private notions that your children are yours, that you need to come to understand that the children belong to the state?
I wouldn't be happy about that at all. But the reality is of what's been going on is that's pretty much what's been happening.
It is what's happening, Jeremy. You're
it's
correct.
Exactly what's been it's exactly what's happening.
It's why I'm having the conference with my school's principal, or my son's principal, on Tuesday, is to make it very clear to them. And I've made it clear. The administrators at my son's school understand me. They know me. They know what I think and why I think it. But now I'm having to go in and basically layeth the smacketh down.
Right, but hold on. But I'm coming back to I don't get the impression she's saying.
No, you're interpreting.
Yeah, I'm interpreting from my point of view, which is that we as a community have an obligation to our kids to provide certain things for the education. Remember, one of the things that she starts off with in that quote is, in fact, can you play that? Can you play just the first part of that again? Because I think the first part of it is the crux of what she's getting at, where she says, or did I play it over here? One of us played it.
Yeah,
I
you
played it over
it.
here. Let me play it again really quick. Give me just a second here. Strip, is my laptop hot over there? Let me play this again.
We have never invested as much in public education as we should have, because we've
That's what and again, everything that's after that, I think that she botches and screws up. But she says, she starts it off with, we have never again, let's get this right. Let me start this again.
We have never invested as much in public education as we should have.
We have never invested as much in public education as we should have. And then I think everything else that she says after that is spinning off of that idea. Now, again, does she screw the duck when she talks about the kids don't belong to you, they belong to the community? Could she have phrased it in a way that wasn't abrasive and elitist and snobbish? I totally agree with that. But I still think she's coming back to the point that as a community, the kids, we have a responsibility to these children to provide to them an education that is appropriate and correct to bring them up in this world, and the kids belong to the community to that respect. And I wouldn't say belong. I would say the community owes an obligation to the children coming forward to, you know what I mean? I think it's a different in semantics.
Yeah. Now let me sprinkle some salt of reality on that.
Okay.
We do, as a community. You know how we do that? We pay our taxes. Okay? As tax-paying citizens, we become then the employers of the education system.
Right.
The problem with this ad is threefold. Number one, Kevin, Melissa Harris Perry did not write this ad. Somebody working for MSNBC did.
Oh, I'm
number
sure.
two,
I agree with you there.
Number two, these ads are not ad lib, which means it's not about she just went out there and said this and screwed it up. No, it was written, and it was written well ahead of time. It was practiced well ahead of time, and people discussed the ramifications of what she had to say well ahead of time. These commercials are not spontaneous. They don't just erupt like a zit on a poor man's face. Okay?
No, I agree.
So she knew what she was saying. The network knew what she was saying, and she went out there and she said it. And the third thing is
say hello in your mic real quick. Is it on?
Hello.
Oh, it is
Yeah,
on.
you're
Okay,
on.
go ahead.
You're good.
It's on.
And the third thing is and you rightly point out about her first line about education. Nobody disagreed with that first line about education.
Right.
The problem is the rest of the commercial wasn't about education.
Right. No, and I agree. I can't help but think.
But you can't say that this was about education. And the first 3 seconds of a 31-second commercial was about education. She screwed up the other 28 seconds.
Yeah, I can't help but think that nobody in their right mind. Now maybe
or is it that you don't want to believe it?
Well, that could be it too. I can't help but think that nobody in their right mind would actually stand up and go, yeah, those aren't really your kids. Those belong to society. Society owns your kids. I can't believe that that's really what she meant.
You do know, right? Both of you do know that is part of the theology of Marxism.
Yeah.
You guys are aware of that,
Oh, well,
right?
yeah.
Okay, so that's not a secret. So if you now have a network, an entire network. Now, this isn't just MSNBC. This is NBC, NBC Universal, Comcast. These are all.
Not
this is
your
one.
remote show, Joe.
This is one big company. All right. Okay. If they didn't believe this to be true, if they didn't support this, if they didn't agree with it, would they air it? No, they wouldn't.
Oh no, hold on. No, I disagree with that. I think they would.
They probably air it.
I think they would.
Why would they air it if they didn't agree with it?
Because again, it's that
There's
network.
no disclaimer at the beginning of this commercial that says this commercial does not represent the views or opinion of this network.
Well, again, I think MSNBC may. Okay, but I don't think that Comcast subscribes to it. I don't think that NBC subscribes to it.
Can I tell you something real quick?
Go ahead.
Yeah, go ahead.
NBC, I don't know if you guys knew this or not, actually pulled all commercials for any commercial that supported guns.
Oh, yes, you're correct.
So,
in fact, they took it one step further this weekend during the.
Well, to my point, to what you're saying, it is feasible to believe, based on that fact alone, that NBC sets policies.
That's right.
Which means some of those commercials do reflect how NBC as a company.
That's right.
Holds themselves. They may not agree with it 100%, but it's feasible to believe that
there's some level of agreement with the philosophy, is what you're saying.
Right.
Otherwise, they would pull it.
However, here's the issue that I have. Okay, now, Paul and Strip, I know we're coming up on break, but delay it for me for a minute.
I already have.
Here's the deal. We will.
He's up. He's like, I see where this is going.
The people on the right.
Pause.
The people on the right, the conservatives, will blast the liberal media and the monolith like NBC that can now basically write its own ticket. They can control the outflow of information. They can control the commercials. They can control the message. They can control the whole damn thing. They can write the whole kit and caboodle. Okay? The problem is, and this is how it all comes full circle, and this is the, ready for it? Haven't said it in months, the hypocrisy of our democracy. This is Republicans' fault to begin with, because Republicans have allowed for these monolithic corporations to build and grow and grow and grow and pick up power and be treated like human beings and have the ability to become these monolithic structures where now Comcast can have this much power because Republicans want to allow corporations to just grow willy-nilly until they're this big, massive structure.
Yeah, I get what you're saying, Kevin.
But am I wrong though? I mean, isn't that part of the problem? We've now Republicans and conservatives have said, let's let business be business. Let's let free market economy regulate it. We've now let Universal, NBC, Comcast get into this big, massive, excuse my language, clusterfuck partnership.
Yeah, but Kevin,
now they've gotten into the position where they can now control the entire message. And what is the message?
Yes.
The message is so skewed to the left that now it's you are a dying breed, my friend. Because your politics,
I don't disagree with you on that. Yeah.
Your politics, your message, your conservatism, your belief in the family structure, your belief in conservative values, your belief in the sanctity of family and the sanctity of marriage. Guess what? That stuff won't sell. That stuff won't pick up TV viewers. There's no drama in that.
Well,
there's no commercial money in that.
I couldn't disagree more. Fox News still blows away MSNBC and CNN combined.
I know, but
the ratings.
In news. But I'm talking about network television and everywhere else.
That's not true.
What are the shows that sell right now? What are the
numbers
shows
aren't supporting that at all?
You don't think so?
No, not at all. The numbers do not support that at all. In fact, the Bible off of the History Channel was the highest rated cable television show in history.
You're right about that. But what are the TV shows that are pulling the numbers right now?
Revolution is a top rated show right now.
NCIS.
Listen, again,
every week, man, they're in the top 10.
Yeah, I'm just telling you that it's. I understand what you're saying. I just think that the point is, Kevin, and nobody's disagreeing. Nobody's saying MSNBC or NBC or Universal or anything else should pull her show or even pull these ads. None of that has come out of anybody's mouth here. What I am saying is that it behooves the individual to listen to the message that is being espoused by these individuals. Take that into account and then decide if you're going to watch that network and in those programs. Right. That's my point. So that I can, because I will not be involved with telling Melissa Harris Perry that she should not have a show and she cannot have a voice. I believe that God loves wondrous variety. She should absolutely have her show. But everybody needs to know, and I mean everybody needs to know, these are her viewpoints. And everybody needs to know that this are the network's viewpoints.
But do you think that anybody is watching Melissa Harris Perry or anybody on MSNBC for that matter, and that they're surprised by anything coming out of their mouths?
Yes.
I mean, do you? I think that the people that are going to MSNBC by this point know what they're getting out of the Rachel Maddows and the Chris Matthews and the Melissa Harris Perrys of the world.
You are a left-leaning Democrat.
Yeah.
I don't want to say progressive or liberal. You can answer that question.
I can't watch MSNBC.
And that's my point.
I can't even
People
watch it.
need to understand that, though. I guess that's my big point here.
Right.
People need to understand that this is what these people think. This is what they truly feel. True progressive liberals feel that your children are not your own. They belong to the state. That's what they think. They feel it in their gut, and it doesn't make them bad people. It just makes them so wrong on the issues. Okay? Because now, again, mind you, most of these people, whether it's Rachel Maddow, Lawrence O'Donnell, Melissa Harris Perry, Chris Hayes, these are childless individuals. They don't have kids.
Right.
Now you can ask, because I know I have, well then, how do their values match with mine? How does a childless individual tell me that I need to accept the fact that my children belong to the state or they belong to the collective? Because I guarantee you and I are going to have a quarrel, right?
Right.
And I think that what a lot of people are missing is that there is a reason that the president and his administration reach out to this network. They go hand in hand with the network. They deal with this network, which is why people jokingly, but still with a sense of seriousness, refer to them as state-run media. You cannot turn on MSNBC at any point during the day and hear them being critical of the president or this administration. Now, by the way, I got good things to say about the president. We're going to have to get to him next week because we're running out of time right now.
Stick around. We got a break.
But
he's done some good things recently.
Oh, God.
All right, we're back after this. Outlaw Radio Network. Stay tuned.
Hell has officially frozen over.
You're listening to the Outlaw Radio Network. OutlawRadioNetwork.com.
Hey, St. Paul, the voice of reason here. Wanted to send a quick shout out to our friends at Pacific Northwest Artisans. They're a custom concrete and design fabrication company. They can do all of your concrete needs. They can do pathways, walkways, driveways, you name it. You need a new foundation, you're going to do an add-on, give them a call, 731-9812 or 649-0987. Again, that's 731-9812 or 649-0987. Pacific Northwest Artisans, all of your concrete needs.
As Kitsap County's largest maintenance provider, Team Innovative in Paulsbo provides commercial and residential maintenance to hundreds of millions of dollars of local real estate. With services including parking lot maintenance and street cleaning to landscape and design, Team Innovative is committed to using a green approach and following a strong environmental conscience. Team Innovative Services, 697-6858, or visit them online at getinnovative.net. Team Innovative Services, get serious, get innovative.
Hey, sports fans, if you ever wished there was a live and local all-sports broadcasting network, but wish no more, it's ISPNSports.com. Kitsap's only live and local all-sports 24-hour broadcasting network, featuring the Kitsap Blue Jackets, Olympic College Rangers, high school athletics, and the ISPN Sports Show every Saturday morning from 10 to noon with interviews from exclusive guests from around the Sound. So, you want sports? Go to ISPNSports.com.
Located 3520 Kitsap Way in Bremerton, Arnold's Home Furnishing has been serving the Kitsap County community since 1951. For nearly 60 years, Arnold's has been here taking care of its customers with excellent customer service and quality merchandise you'll find nowhere else. And visit arnoldshomefurnishing.com to view all the merchandise available and see their current promotions. Arnold's Home Furnishing, to fit every lifestyle and budget.
Hey, it's Kevin with the Outlaw Radio Network. When it came time for the guys with Outlaw Radio to get our tuxes for the Habitat for Humanity of Kitsap County's Raise the Roof event, we honestly had no idea where to get them. Then we found Judy at Judy's Sewing in East Bremerton. As evidenced by the name, Judy's Sewing does tailoring, alterations, and repair. She also does tuxedo rentals starting at $69, bridal party dresses for $69, and bride's dresses starting at only $189. Plus, we also learned that at Judy's Sewing, not only does she offer military members prices that are lower than they're going to find at the Navy Exchange, she also prioritizes their orders. That means if you're in the military, your needs move right to the front of the line. It's a special touch of service you can only get from a locally based business like Judy's Sewing. Judy's Sewing at the corner of Fairgrounds Road in Central Valley in East Bremerton, right near Handy Andy's. Or call Judy at 360-662-1212. 662-1212. Judy's Sewing, a local business that's proud to support her community.
So let me just say that if you want a good pizza, this is Domino's Panther.
Domino's has changed their entire business model.
Domino's has changed a lot.
Yeah, they're really working hard on getting towards quality. I'm not going to say they're there yet.
This is the best pizza right here.
They're there, brother.
Have you guys
It's a
had
pan pizza?
Have you guys had a true Neapolitan wood-fired pizza?
Yeah, I have.
No.
They are freaking incredible, aren't they?
Yes,
right.
I have.
So if you haven't had one,
I
you know
thought
what we should do?
Neapolitan was ice cream.
No,
Yeah.
it's a section. It's a portion of Italy. It's
Right.
like a province of Italy where they pizzas originated from. You know what we should do? We'll plan a night, like a Friday night. We'll take the crew. We'll go to the best place I've ever found is in Gig Harbor. It's called Fondy's. Okay, it is amazing.
Why do I feel like somebody should be walking in with a leather jacket saying, "Hey"? Right
not Fonzie, Fondy. But here's what I will say: the pizzas are all the same size. They're like this big. It's a personal pizza per person, and they're like $12 a pizza. Okay, the most amazing pizza in the world. We'll arrange a night. We'll take the whole crew over. We'll go over there, and you know what? You know what we could do? What if we arranged to go do a show live there? I think that would just be amazing.
You just build a brick fireplace for me, and I'll just make one for you. No?
Here's the deal.
No.
Here's the deal.
Because he wants me to do all the work. That's what it is.
I remember at the old studio, back in Olala, back in the original, right? When we moved the studio into East Bremerton, Strip said, this is as close to a quote as I'll get. Hey, now that we're going to have it at my place, we're going to barbecue all the time. Remember this? I'll barbecue all the time. I'll barbecue for you guys whenever you want.
Not
We'll have
exactly.
barbecues all the time. You know how many times he barbecued for us at that studio? Literally, I think twice.
2 or 3 times.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, twice.
Hey,
Twice!
I never said that.
You did.
No, I didn't.
Yes, you did.
No.
You totally did.
He had
So
more,
I don't want to hear about how you're going to do this and that and this and that and this and that.
I gotta say, he had more barbecues than that because every
He
time
didn't barbecue
brought,
for us, though.
every time he brought home a new female, which was once a week, he would have a barbecue for him.
dumb as a
So
box of rocks, girl.
All right, make my computer hot for me. We're going to hear what Glenn Beck, because this is going to be interesting, because you brought it up to me during the break. My God, did I read this right? Glenn Beck is for gay marriage.
Gay marriage.
So we're gonna
play
this. Now the commercial we just talked about, Melissa Harris Perry. This is Glenn Beck's response to Melissa Harris Perry.
I want to start with an absolutely amazing promo from MSNBC that it's almost a parody of reality. It is so far beyond what we have ever thought.
It looks
as
like
a
he's sitting in the
nation,
Oval Office, doesn't
it's
it?
That's his
remarkable.
radio studio.
I want to play the audio, a promo from NBC. This is, I believe, the fulfillment of a couple of things that we said would happen, and they have, and they will be dismissed, and you will be made to look like a conspiracy theorist, etc., etc. Pay no mind. Listen to this amazing promo from MSNBC.
We have never invested as much in public education as we should have because we've always had kind of a private notion of children. Your kid is yours and totally your responsibility. We haven't had a very collective notion of these are our children. So part of it is we have to break through our kind of private idea that kids belong to their parents or kids belong to their families and recognize that kids belong to whole communities.
Right.
Once it's everybody's responsibility and not just the households, then we start making better investments.
Finally, someone said it.
Finally, my kids do not belong to me.
It's
my
about time.
kids are not my kids. They
No.
are the community kids.
Yes.
So I don't really have responsibility for my kids. I
Not
can
really.
look to the state to also take that responsibility and quite honestly, that burden from me.
Well, you don't want to be
And-
punished with a baby.
Exactly right. And we have lost this. We have to lose this private notion that your kids belong to you. I played this yesterday for my wife. I saw it yesterday afternoon, and I thought, oh, there it is. There it is. Finally, somebody has come out and said it. There it is. I'm watching this video. Now, remember, gang, this is a promo for MSNBC. This is not somebody just getting on and they can just say, oh, well, you know what? I was just kind of not really thinking when I said it. This is something that people thought about. This is something that everybody worked on. This is something that everybody got together and filmed.
Planned well in advance.
Nobody on the crew said, that's not really that crazy of a notion that my kids belong to me. Then they brought it back. They edited it. They sat around in a meeting. You know what we do here at the Blaze? We look at promos and say, yep, that's good. Go, put it on the air. This is not a mistake. This is the announcement of where they're headed. Now, this story broke on the Blaze on Friday. I finally got to it on Sunday. And we're going to be doing a little something on this tonight at 5 o'clock. But I want you to go to the Blaze, and I want you to grab this story, and I want you to send it to all your friends and just ask them this question. What do you think this means? If your friends say, I don't know, it's just crazy television, dismiss them. Dismiss them. There's nothing that you can do to save your friends at this point if they don't see this. Do you remember when we were talking 2 years ago about co-parenting in Canada? We're not even talking co-parenting here. We're talking about breaking your private ideas that your children belong to you.
Yeah, co-parenting suggests you have a role, which you do not. At least at co-parenting, you were like 50% responsible. This one, I mean, come on. The community's going to handle it. Don't worry about it.
What's really horrible about this is the idea behind this is going to be so appealing to so many people. So many people are going to say, I love that. Because I'm freaked out. I don't know what to do with my kids. I don't know how to parent them. I don't know what to do. I'm
Okay, Glenn, I'm going to tell you what to do.
I expected him to rant a little bit more.
This goes on for another 4 minutes. I just didn't want to play it all. Listen, you get the idea. You get the point from where he's coming from, and he actually took it a further level than I did. And I hadn't thought about that. I hadn't watched this clip, hadn't listened to it, but he takes it one step further. He goes on to say, "This is where this network is going."
Right.
Yes.
And now, that to me, I'm like, "Oh, dude, whoa, wait, time out, hold on, what?"
Sure.
I thought they were bad enough. Again, it goes to the notion. I've been critical of guys like Stephen Colbert and Jon Stewart for some time, and I will continue to be. simply because they have a large following and a large audience, and they try to present themselves as news.
And you're jealous.
Individuals.
Yeah.
Well, no.
I'm playing with you. Go ahead.
I know, but you see, you do it in a way. Oh, you're like Melissa Harris Perry.
Oh, whatever.
Oh.
Only not black and not female, and you don't exactly share her attitude about things.
Yeah, but otherwise we're completely alike.
I know, you're evil. No,
I'm not
kidding.
black, and I'm not a woman, and
Ding
I'm
dong, the
Anyway,
witch is dead.
anyway, so the point here is very simple, in that I didn't even perceive them as saying, "Oh my God, this is where their network is going." If Kevin, let me ask you a question.
Sure.
Because you do tend to apologize more than the rest of us for the president and the administration.
Well, I don't know if I would say I apologize, but I would say that I am more
of an apologist.
I'm more supportive of what they do. But go ahead.
Okay. How does it make you feel when you taken as individual things? Each one of these may be looked at as, uncomfortable or slightly unsettling, but as individual things, okay, whatever, you can let them go. But when you start putting things into a full perspective, if you will,
sure,
of things like a law gets passed that states that you cannot protest within a certain spatial parameter of an administration official, which is a violation of your First Amendment rights. When you have laws that are being discussed and some in some places are being passed where the Second Amendment is being violated because laws are being passed that infringe upon it, the Second Amendment, the right to keep and bear arms, in the path to meet justice. You have the network that doesn't, it's not that they're out there claiming to be the spokespeople for the administration.
Sure.
But when you watch them, it becomes quickly, readily apparent that, in fact, they are. They cannot be critical of the administration on anything to speak of or anything that's noteworthy. It's like, and here's the thing. They try to say, we're fair and balanced.
Right.
We were critical of the president not passing gun control legislation fast enough.
Yeah.
We were critical of the president for not ending Don't Ask, Don't Tell fast enough. We were critical of the president because he didn't sign gay marriage into law fast enough. See, we're critical of the president.
Can I answer that though?
I haven't finished.
Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
It's okay.
I just don't want to miss my points because you're.
It's okay.
Go ahead.
I deserve my moment.
Take your moment. Just make sure you leave me a moment before the end of the hour.
You want your moment. You can have your moment.
I do.
Anyway, so the point here is, does it make you uncomfortable when you start putting these things together and you see a pattern of behavior evolve? And you begin to see an administration in the president that is A, not transparent like he promised. B, not only becomes secretive but begins passing laws through executive order in order to circumvent the Constitution. You have a president and an administration who freely and openly admit that they cannot accomplish all that they want to accomplish because the Constitution stands in their way.
Right.
You have a president and an administration that says we need to have a civilian military force that's as well funded and as well trained as the military. You have a network that proposes and espouses the values of the president and of Karl Marx and freely puts them out there. You have members of the president's administration who hold a man like Mao Zedong, a communist mass murderer and a dictator. They hold him in the highest regard. You have an individual in the president of the United States who takes two of his best friends, Jay-Z and Beyonce, and gives them a get-out-of-jail-free card and lets them go ahead and go to Havana, Cuba.
Mm-hmm.
Well, he did.
I knew you were going to bring that up.
I'm just saying.
That Jay-Z Beyonce thing is such a non-story.
It really is a non-story.
It's a non-story.
Well, it is.
People go to Cuba all the time
no,
under
they
the guise
don't.
of educational travel. Yes, they do.
No, they don't.
Under the guise of educational travel.
No,
By the
they
way,
don't.
I'm not even sure why the Department of the Treasury are the ones that issue the permits.
That's not
for
the
this.
point. Do I get to finish here? That
go ahead.
Again,
go ahead.
Still
I'll
not
address
point.
your points in a second. Go ahead.
Okay.
Strip, we're going to go late to the top of the hour if I don't have a chance to answer his questions.
I'm simply asking if at any point in time in your mind you begin to formulate the opinion, wait a second, maybe there's something not quite right here.
Okay. Can I answer this really quick?
Yeah, go ahead.
Most of the things that you're giving me are tertiary. You like that?
Third? They're third?
They're
Tertiary means third.
They're tertiary issues. They're third-party issues. They're not even related. Let me finish. They're not related to the White House. They're not related to the administration. You can talk about MSNBC all you want to. There's nothing about MSNBC that's related to the president. Barack Obama goes out, another Republican is elected to the White House. MSNBC will still be there, still doing the same thing they've always done. They'll still be a mouthpiece for the Democratic Party. It's what they were in the later years of the Bush administration. Okay? Now, are they a mouthpiece right now for the agenda that the left is running? Of course they are. But I don't believe that every morning Barack Obama wakes up in his boxer shorts and calls over to Rachel Maddow and says, "Yo, Rach, let's talk a little bit more about gun control." Okay? So I don't think that is even reflective of the Obama administration. It is what MSNBC is doing, but they would do it either way. The gun control issues you're talking about, again, not an Obama thing, because the federal government hasn't passed any meaningful gun legislation. Now, states have, and some cities have. Now, that could be tied to the Obama administration in the sense that there is a tide going on and the federal government is pushing for it. But again, Obama's made it clear he wants it. I'm opposed to it, but the feds haven't passed anything. So I don't know if you lay that at Obama. Now, the passing of the protest bill, you're right, I disagree with that. The passing of the of Obamacare, I disagree with that as well.
I think the jury's still out on that.
On Obamacare?
Yeah.
Oh, out on what?
A lot of things about Obamacare. In point of fact, you can't say anything but the jury is still out on Obamacare, son. The GAO has just come out and said, yeah, in point of fact, we're going to now have to cut Medicare, and Obamacare is going to hurt the middle class most of all because the cost is going to be much greater than we had
That's why I'm saying I'm
previously
opposed to
imagined.
it, because none of the numbers that we've seen coming out from the GAO or from anybody else who's looked at it has said it's going to be anything other than a giant fuck up.
I'm only saying, listen, again, I've been very clear. I do not support Obamacare. I do not agree with it. I will benefit from it. But it's going to cost me money that, since I didn't have that money to pay. Listen, do you know how many times during the course of a year, the work that I do, I get hurt and I choose to not go to the doctor because I know I can't afford to pay the bills?
Probably
I know.
a lot.
A lot. And in your line of work, I'm not surprised.
So that's a personal choice, because I say, gosh, I ripped my meniscus.
Right.
Okay, I'm just going to have to limp my ass at work now. Because I can't, if I don't have health care insurance and I can't afford to go in, blah, 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 blah. It's a choice, and it's a choice I should always have.
Right.
But now this has taken that choice away from me. And again, it's a free country. It's based on personal choice. Now, take that out of the equation for a second, and you're talking about something that now exists, and a precedent has been set, that the federal government now has the ability to dictate to you what product to buy and who to buy it from. Now, if you don't think that that's a problem, I can't help you. You need to go back to school.
Well, that's what I said. I mean, there are certain things with this presidency I've disagreed with that have been passed. The protest bill, Obamacare. There are some things that I haven't fully agreed with. But a lot of the other things that are being referenced here, okay, if we're going to reference MSNBC, if we're going to reference some of the gun control laws that have been passed in states. Now, you can't fault the federal government for the states passing gun rights bills, because this is what you've been trumpeting for years, which is states' rights.
Yeah, state sovereignty.
State sovereignty. And as wrong as the states are for passing them, you can't go back to Obama for that. So what do we have? Here's what we've got. We have a culture of blame now going on, where it's easier for us to blame Obama than it is for us to blame who's really responsible.
No, I'm pretty sure I'm still blaming him for the things that he's responsible for.
Right, but again, what is he responsible for?
Obamacare.
Hold on. No, he's not. And
DEA.
Hold on. He's not responsible for Obamacare, and I'll tell you why. Because Obama didn't pass it. The House and the Senate passed it. Okay? Now, House Democrats passed
Obama's
it.
people.
Hold on. Listen. Let me finish, though. Obama couldn't have done it all by himself. It was House Democrats that passed it. Senate Democrats passed it. It went through.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is what you get when you drink the Kool-Aid.
No, listen. What I'm saying is Obama couldn't have done it all by itself, okay?
No, that's true.
The passing of the bill that banned the protesting.
That was executive order.
Was that executive order? Okay.
So you're wrong.
Then hold Obama accountable for that. The budget issues and the fact that budgets haven't been passed, Republicans left and right are crying about the fact that Obama hasn't done anything.
This year he just turned the budget in last week.
Yeah.
It was supposed to be turned in the 1st of February.
Again.
3 months late.
Again, it's become easier to blame Obama than
it is
to blame.
Fault. He's the president. His job is to present a budget.
I'm not debating that, but what I'm telling you is, in every other year, he's had budgets that have been put forward that didn't get passed.
No, that's not true.
It is true. There was a budget that was presented last year,
and the Democrats turned it down.
Right, but what I'm
his own peeps.
What I'm saying is, let me finish my point. What I'm saying is, either way, there are things to blame him on. But if we just lay the blame at Obama and say Obama, we are not putting the blame where the rest of the blame goes, which is Senate Republicans and Democrats and House Republicans and Democrats, because they're the ones who passed Obamacare. They're the ones who can pass the budget. They're the ones who can fix the problems. They're the ones who can make things happen. They're the ones who can repeal Obamacare if they wanted to. They're the ones that can make laws happen and stop the injustices that are going on, and they're choosing not to. And regardless of if it's Bush and the Patriot Act or Obama and Obamacare, they can't pass it. They can only recommend it, and they can have their party leadership push it, but they're not the ones that do it. I personally, I think Obama has done exactly what he said he was going to do.
I don't disagree with
Which
that.
is, I'm going to redefine America. I'm going to redefine this government.
Yeah, that's just what we needed.
I'm going to redefine it into the vision of what I think.
Free flow.
But again, you can't fault him for that. He's not doing anything any different than what he told people he was going to do, and it got him elected not once but twice. So
George Bush got elected twice. It's not exactly something to live up to.
No, but I'm just saying, I'm not saying it's not like Obama stood up there and said, hey, guys, by the way, when you elect me president, I'm going to protect your gun rights. I'm not going to redo completely how healthcare works. I'm not going to do any of this stuff. You can count on me. I'm not going to do it. That's not what he said. He said, I'm going to redo how Wall Street works. I'm going to redo.
He didn't do that.
I'm going to redo mortgage, and I'm going to make sure there's bailouts for homeowners. And
That
he did
didn't
pass
happen
some.
either.
He passed some of that. There was the Hope Act. He said, I am going to redo medical care and health insurance. I am going to do that. A lot of this stuff he said he was going to do, and now everybody's up in arms like, oh, it's after 10 o'clock. I can say it. Nigga did what? But it's stuff that he said he was going to do when they elected him the first time, and when he came back up for re-election, he didn't say, oh, fuck, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to do that. He said, not only am I proud of what I did, but I'm going to keep doing more of the same. So it's not Obama's fault. It's the 50.6% that voted him into office.
You're right.
If you don't like it...
It's not the captain of the ship's fault that it's sunk.
No, I'm just saying, if you don't like it in 2 years...
It's the engineer's fault.
In 2 years when you don't like it, vote out all the fuckers in
saw
the
the
House.
iceberg, they just couldn't avoid it.
Hey, let the black man speak.
Go ahead, Tro.
I have nothing to say on it. I really don't have anything to say on
You're
the
killing
subject.
me. I gave the white man gave the black man permission
I know
to
you
speak.
gave me permission to speak, but I'm going to reserve what I need to say at a different time.
He's like, I brought my baseball bat. Just stand there, Paul.
Pop. All right. I'm just saying, in 2 years, put all the reps out and all the Senate out that you can and put new people in.
At
That's
some
just
point,
me.
I agree with.
At some point, Kevin, you're going to have to step up and recognize how bad this country is getting screwed up by him.
Last call is next. We're back. We're back after this. Thanks, Strip. Strip's covering for our ass. Last call is next. This concludes the Outlaw Radio Network. The last call is next. DJ Mikey Mullen will be in the house playing some tunes for us. And we'll get into some of the adult topics. So stay tuned.
Last call.
We're back after this. No news, though, K-Strip.
The last call.
You're listening to the Outlaw Radio Network. OutlawRadioNetwork.com.
Hey, St. Paul, the voice of reason here. Wanted to send a quick shout out to our friends at Pacific Northwest Artisans. They're a custom concrete and design fabrication company. They can do all of your concrete needs. They can do pathways, walkways, driveways, you name it. You need a new foundation, you're going to do an add-on, give them a call, 731-9812 or 649-0987. Again, that's 731-9812 or 649-0987. Pacific Northwest Artisans, all of your concrete needs.
As Kitsap County's largest maintenance provider, Team Innovative in Paulsbo provides commercial and residential maintenance to hundreds of millions of dollars of local real estate. With services including parking lot maintenance and street cleaning to landscape and design, Team Innovative is committed to using a green approach and following a strong environmental conscience. Team Innovative Services, 697-6858, or visit them online at getinnovative.net. Team Innovative Services, get serious, get innovative.
Hey, sports fans, if you ever wished there was a live and local all-sports broadcasting network, but wish no more, it's ISPNSports.com. Kitsap's only live and local all-sports 24-hour broadcasting network, featuring the Kitsap Blue Jackets, the Olympic College Rangers, high school athletics, and the ISPN Sports Show every Saturday morning from 10 to noon with interviews from exclusive guests from around the Sound. So, you want sports? Go to ISPNSports.com.
Located 3520 Kitsap Way in Bremerton, Arnold's Home Furnishing has been serving the Kitsap County community since 1951. For nearly 60 years, Arnold's has been here taking care of its customers with excellent customer service and quality merchandise you'll find nowhere else. And visit arnoldshomefurnishing.com to view all the merchandise available and see their current promotions. Arnold's Home Furnishing, to fit every lifestyle and budget.
Hey, it's Kevin with the Outlaw Radio Network.